Chapter 3296. In the next moment, his body suddenly disappeared and appeared in another direction, completely shaking off the flames. However, his face was completely gloomy. This scene happened very quickly. In the blink of an eye, Yun Tianchao was sent flying. The surrounding people cried out in alarm. Many of them were scared silly. What was going on? It seemed that Yun Tianchao had been beaten back. Oh heavens! Did Yun Tianchao suffer a loss at the opponent's hands? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they reached this conclusion. They really couldn't imagine it. That was the Cloud returning sword. Yun's body was also trembling. A sense of fear rose from the bottom of his heart, but he still roared crazily. Impossible! How could my brother be defeated? My brother just didn't use his full strength. That must be it. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. You dare to use a sword technique in front of me with such little strength? To be honest, it's a little disappointing. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Yun Tianchao snorted coldly. His expression was incomparably cold. He had never suffered a loss at the hands of a young person. This time, his target was Yan Nantian. In his opinion, with his strength, he could fight Yan Nantian. However, he didn't expect to encounter a troublesome fellow before the Vermilion Bird List tournament had even begun. Who is this person? Who are you? Zhao Wuliang? Long Chaodian? Or someone else? None of them. You don't deserve to know my name. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were filled with arrogance. You're courting death. Kid, I was only testing the waters just now. Now, you've made me want to kill you. The Cloud returning sword was unsheathed. With a clang, the invisible cloud law revolved. In the next moment, a piercing sound rang out like thunder. A white light flashed, and a dazzling black crack appeared in front of him. Heavens, it was cut open. Unsheathing! Many powerhouses of the older generation cried out in alarm. This kind of sword unsheathing technique was a very common ability. It was a condensed sword intent and power that erupted in an instant. Of course, the more common an ability was, the more difficult it was to cultivate to a high level. Moreover, Yun Tianchao's sword unsheathing technique had already surpassed an ordinary sword unsheathing technique. This was the Cloud sword unsheathing technique. It was even more ethereal and strange. Clang! Lin Xian's body was struck by a white cloud longsword. In the next moment, his body was sent flying. It hit. Yunhe was so excited that he was trembling. The others also gasped. Quite a few people shook their heads. The sword was drawn too quickly, and with the addition of the law of clouds, almost no one could dodge it. That brat should have been split into two halves. Hee, let's see how arrogant he can be. How strong is Cloud returning sword? Previously, he was just testing the waters. Now that he had revealed his true strength, how could that brat possibly withstand it? Yun Tianchao also revealed a cold smile. The light turned into a white divine lamp, and he looked into the distance. Soon he was stunned. How could this be? His heart was filled with astonishment, as he could not believe his eyes. From afar, a figure appeared in a flash. It was Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body was completely unscathed. He shook his body and nodded slightly. Not bad. This move is much stronger than before. Looks like you do have some talent. Lin Xian's words were like an elder commenting on a junior. This tone made Jin Tianchao very unhappy. However, the others were already scared silly. Such a terrifying sword chi could split a half Saint City in half. However, the other party was unscathed. What kind of physique was that? The other party was definitely a super expert, and he should be very famous. Unfortunately, we can't see his true face. To be able to block the White Cloud sword, his physique was definitely famous. I wonder what kind of physique it was. If not for the Nine Sun successor and the great demon perishing together a few years ago, I would have suspected that he was the Nine Sun successor. Impossible! The The nine-son successor can no longer exist in this world. He might have another physique. I have heard that the saint physique is also a super physique, not inferior to the nine sons' divine physique. Yes, there is also the supreme battle physique, which is also very powerful and has astonishing combat strength. Damn brat, who the hell are you? Yun Tianchao shouted angrily again. Lin Xian did not reply. Instead, he clenched his fists as if he was drawing a sword. Let me show you what the true sword-drawing technique is. What? This guy is also going to use the sword-drawing technique? Everyone was still guessing Lin Xian's identity, but at this moment, they were attracted by Lin Xian's words. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Lin Xian. In the next moment, they shivered. It was too strange. The other party only made a sword-drawing gesture, and my body actually trembled uncontrollably. A few of the older generation people were frightened. The surrounding people were scared out of their wits. Many half-saints swallowed their saliva. This aura, could it be that the other party was a peerless swordsman? They opened their eyes wide, and Yunhe was already paralyzed on the ground. Yun Tianchao's expression was also grave. Not good. It's too dangerous. The other party's action made him vigilant, as if there was a fatal crisis. Who the hell is this person? He did not have time to think too much. He could only shout angrily and use the cloud law fragment to the extreme. I want to see what's so special about your sword-drawing technique. Yun Tianchao gritted his teeth. He did not believe that the other party's swordsmanship could surpass his. The sword-drawing technique was about explosive power, not just speed. Your speed just now was indeed fast. After fusing with the cloud law, it was strange and ethereal. Ordinary people could not dodge it at all. Unfortunately, you're still wrong. The true power of the sword-drawing technique was explosive power. Now, I will show you what the true sword-drawing technique is. Lin Xian's voice sounded. Boom. In the next moment, a biting cold aura burst out. A terrifying sound rang out. There was no sword light in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. No one could see any sword light at all. However, the void in front of them was constantly annihilated and shattered. One sword to break the 9 heavens? The surrounding people were stunned. Some of the semi-sage level experts were also trembling. Their eyes were wide open. This was the true sword-drawing technique. They did not feel the sword light, but the terrifying explosive power completely engulfed everything in front of them. Not good. Yun Tianchao's pupils shrank. He knew that he had underestimated the other party. This power was too strong and could threaten him. He wanted to escape, but he realized that it was too late. The other party's sword-drawing technique was really different from his. He pursued speed to the extreme, but the other party pursued explosive power. The other party had achieved this. The surrounding space was shattered. His violent power tore everything apart. No matter where he hid, he would still be attacked. He could only do his best to resist. Cloud law, cloud body. At the critical moment, Yun Tianchao used the cloud law fragment. Immediately, his body became illusory and ethereal. His original physical body also turned into wisps of white clouds that drifted with the wind. Chapter 3297. Facing the violent power, he chose to turn his body incorporeal to avoid it. Boom. The space in front of him was completely shattered. A violent explosion sounded, as if heaven and earth were being destroyed. A miserable cry came from inside. It was Yunhe's. Yunhe was also enveloped by this sword. Yunhe couldn't dodge at all, and turned into nothingness. Even his soul was swallowed by this violent power. After a long time, the shattered space in front of them gradually healed. His soul had already been destroyed, and couldn't be found at all. Everyone already knew about this. Their eyes were looking for Yun Tianchao. Where was Yun Tianchao? Why did he disappear too? Could it be that he dodged it? Did he also say that his soul was destroyed? They gasped as they thought of a possibility. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and looked around. There was a golden light flickering in his eyes. Soon, he stared in a direction and revealed a look of surprise. He could actually dodge it. He had to admit that he was indeed quite strong. Everyone looked in the direction Lin Xian was looking at. In the next moment, they saw a figure appear in the void. It was Yun Tianchao. However, the current Yun Tianchao was incorporeal, as if he had turned into a cloud. Even so, he was still attacked. Lin Xian's destructive power was enough to destroy everything. Even if it was a cloud, he could still injure it. Therefore, Yun Tianchao was seriously injured. After absorbing the power of heaven and earth and evolving the power of the laws, his body reappeared. His face was gloomy. If one looked carefully, they would notice that his body was still trembling slightly. He glanced at the space that had turned into nothingness. Immediately, killing intent filled the air. The other party had killed Yun He. Yun He was his younger brother. Now that he was killed in front of everyone, Yun Tianchao was driven mad. He let out a long roar that shook heaven and earth. An extremely terrifying killing intent was emitted from his body. "How dare you kill my younger brother? You must die." Originally, he had prepared some ultimate moves to use against Yen Nantian in the Vermilion Bird List competition. "However, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish now." Yun Tianchao soared into the sky, his voice incomparably cold. The others were shocked. What? Yun Tianchao actually came for Yen Nantian this time? Then his ultimate move must be extremely terrifying. Wang. Yun Tianchao stood in the clouds. He was incomparably ethereal. He pulled out a long sword. This wasn't a sword of laws, but a true half-step saint weapon. The sword light was like water, blue, flickering with cold light. Did he use his weapon? In that case, the power of the sword qi could be increased. However, this wasn't the end. Shockingly, after Yun Tianchao pulled out the blue sword, he pulled out another sword. A white sword. Dual swords. Everyone was shocked to see that Yun Tianchao was holding two swords with both hands. Both of them were half-saint items. His aura also rose without limit. In the blue sky and white clouds, Yun Tianchao seemed to have turned into the king of the sky, overlooking all living things. After cultivating for 132 years, I finally created my own divine ability, the Boundless Sky Sword. Today, I will use you as a sacrifice to my divine sword. His cold voice rang out. When the others heard it, they were all stunned. The people of the older generation were also in disbelief. What did he say? He had created his own divine ability. Heavens, he actually created his own divine ability. This brat's talent was too terrifying. These people were all dumbfounded. They knew that Yun Tianchao was very famous. He had traveled the ancient path of stars for 132 years and was very powerful. They estimated that he was not far from becoming a saint. However, they didn't expect him to be able to create his own divine ability now. Many people swallowed their saliva. Even an ordinary saint might not be able to create his own divine ability. It required great talent and a heaven-defying understanding of laws to be able to create one's own divine ability. They didn't expect Yun Tianchao to be able to create his own divine ability at such a young age. What he created was definitely a law divine ability. Its power was boundless. They estimated that no half-saint could block it. They thought that Yun Tianchao had lost this battle. They didn't expect that Yun Tianchao still had such a big killing move. No wonder he dared to use such a divine ability to fight Yen Nantian. Creating his own divine ability? Lin Xian was also surprised. Then he smiled. He had also created his own divine ability. Moreover, he had created 4 great divine abilities. If he said it out loud, it would probably scare the surrounding people to death. However, it was also good. He wanted to see if his opponent's self-created divine ability was stronger than his. Creating his own divine ability? I'm looking forward to it. Then use it. Lin Xian raised his head and said indifferently, "You'll see." Yun Tianchao's voice was cold. He didn't speak anymore. The two treasured swords in his hands overlapped each other, erupting with incomparable light. Two terrifying sword lights swept through the 9 heavens, enveloping the entire sky. Above the 9 heavens, sword chi circled around, pressing down on everyone until they couldn't breathe. In the next moment, a cold voice came from the sky. "Heavenly boundless kill." The two swords formed a cross, and then instantly attacked. "Is that all?" Lin Xian looked at the figure rushing over quickly and frowned. The others were also puzzled, but they soon understood. They understood what the heavenly boundless kill meant. In the next moment, countless figures of Yun Tianchao appeared in the sky. Each of them held 2 swords in their hands and quickly attacked. Each of them was incomparably real. It was really a killing move. There was no way to escape. One could only resist it. A bluish-white light flickered. It really looked as if a part of the sky was pressing down. Moreover, this was a law divine ability. Its power was much stronger than ordinary divine abilities. It was indeed a self-created divine ability. Many people trembled. Their eyes were like rainbows as they stared ahead. They didn't know how that kid was going to resist. Lin Xian nodded slightly. He knew that a self-created divine ability couldn't be so weak. Now, it was a little interesting. Take my self-created divine ability. Annihilation Fiery Lotus. Lin Xian's voice wasn't loud. Even the people around him didn't hear it clearly, but they felt it. They felt a fiery red flame fly out from the bluish-white light. Then it burned fiercely, the fiery lotus sword into the sky, carrying with it the power to destroy everything. What divine ability was that? Many people's pupils shrank. They felt as if they were about to be swallowed by the fiery lotus. The two self-created divine abilities finally collided in the air. The sky collapsed, and the earth cracked. Terrifying energy swept through everything. At this moment, all the buildings in the city were enveloped by the array formation. It was densely packed. Some places even sank directly into the ground. The others were sent flying by a terrifying force. Many people retreated millions of miles and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. In front of them, it had turned into chaotic energy. The eternal light couldn't be seen at all. Yun Tianchao and Lin Xian's figures were also swallowed by this energy, as if they had experienced endless time. Everyone was far away and didn't dare to come over. They were bewildered. What was going on in front of them? After a while, they saw that the destructive energy in front of them had weakened. Only then did they dare to go forward. When they flew into the city, they sucked in a breath of cold air. There were big cracks everywhere in the sky and on the ground. It was too terrifying. The residual energy terrified them. How were the two of them? They quickly searched and soon found a figure. Chapter 3298. It was a figure covered in gold that shone like the sun. However, in the next moment, their eyes blurred. The sunlight that filled the sky disappeared, and Lin Xian's figure appeared. It was that kid. That kid was still alive. They discovered that Lin Xian's aura was normal. What about Yun Tianchao? They looked around, and soon they found something. An illusory figure fell from the white clouds. Yun Tianchao's body was covered in injuries. Some parts of his body had disappeared, and his body was in tatters. He fell to the ground and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. His expression was very dispirited. It seemed that he had suffered extremely serious injuries, so much so that his life was in danger. At this moment, his eyes were wide open as he stared at Lin Xian. Then he said with difficulty, "It's you. It's actually you. I didn't expect it to be you." As he spoke, he vomited even more blood. Moreover, it seemed that his soul was about to be extinguished. What was going on? Could it be that Yun Tianchao knew him? At this moment, everyone was even more curious. Who exactly was Lin Xian? Yun Tianchao's eyes were filled with fear and a trace of regret. Earlier, when their self-created divine abilities collided, the energy formed was too terrifying. He had turned his body into a white cloud and completely merged with the void. However, he couldn't stop it. Moreover, this time, his injuries were even more serious. His opponent's Annihilation Fire Lotus was too powerful and destroyed his self-created divine ability. That destructive aura had destroyed most of his life force. At this moment, he saw an unimaginable scene. His opponent let out a long howl. Suddenly, endless light erupted from the torrent of energy. His body turned into a golden sun god. He instantly recognized it. It was the divine Nine-Yang body. It was the divine Nine-Yang body. He had seen the recording of the battle between the successor of the Nine-Yang body and the Great Demon Clan. He had seen their terrifying physiques back then. How could he not recognize them now that he saw them again? Yun Tianchao was instantly dumbfounded. He was actually fighting with the divine Nine-Yang body. He even wanted to kill him. Thinking of this, his face was filled with despair. One had to know that the great demon and the divine Nine-Yang body were locked in a fierce battle. In the end, the two of them even perished together. He had also seen that battle. He was no match for them at all. As expected, he was now seriously injured and on the verge of death. From the looks of it, even though the other party had been slightly affected by the shockwaves, it wasn't a big deal at all. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Yun Tianchao faced the sky and roared. He used all of his strength to let out a furious roar. In the next moment, his eyes lost their luster. His corpse fell to the ground, and even his soul dissipated. He was dead. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect Yun Tianchao to be killed. Heavens, this is an earth-shattering earthquake. The Yun family would definitely go berserk. Although the Yun family was furious about Yun's death, they wouldn't be too crazy about it. However, with Yun Tianchao dead, it was a different story. Yun Tianchao could be said to be the most outstanding member of the Yun family's younger generation. His strength was so great that he had already created his own divine ability. It wouldn't be long before he became a saint. He was the future hope of the Yun family. But at this moment, such a peerless genius was actually slain here. The Yun family would definitely go berserk. I'm afraid another great storm is about to arrive. Everyone looked at Lin Xian and swallowed their saliva. Lin Xian's expression was serious. He looked at Yun Tianchao's corpse and pondered for a while before turning around and leaving. The Crimson Dragon followed behind him. Everywhere they passed, everyone backed away. No one dared to stop them. Soon, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon disappeared into the void. Then the entire city went crazy. Everyone went crazy. They quickly spread the news because they knew a great storm was about to arrive. The news of Yun Tianchao's death quickly spread from Sunset City to the entire planet. When the experts and peerless geniuses in the 12 main cities heard this, they were all shocked. What? Yun Tianchao is dead? That's impossible. Who spread this news? At first, these people didn't believe it. However, more and more news spread. There were even people who took Yun Tianchao's corpse and flew into the sky. When countless people saw it, they all believed it. Everyone believed that Yun Tianchao was truly dead. Who was it? Who killed Yun Tianchao? Everyone began to ask questions like crazy. Soon, they learned about what had happened in Sunset City and sucked in a breath of cold air. A mysterious person had killed Yun Tianchao. In the end, Yun Tianchao seemed to recognize that person. However, aside from Yun Tianchao, no one else knew who it was. Investigate. Investigate for me. They had to figure out who was fighting with Yun Tianchao. They had to find out who he was. Someone roared like crazy. This was not simple at all. Yun Tianchao was one of the most popular candidates for the Vermilion Bird ranking competition. Countless people thought highly of him. The other peak geniuses also felt a lot of pressure. However, Yun Tianchao had been killed. Didn't that mean that there was an even more terrifying existence? And that other person was most likely here for the Vermilion Bird ranking competition. They had to figure out who it was. At the same time, these peak geniuses and experts were also testing each other to see if it was someone they knew who had done it. However, they quickly tested each other and found that it wasn't someone they knew who had done it. This caused their expressions to darken. It seemed that an extremely powerful person was about to appear, and that person who had never appeared before was about to appear. Cloud returning planet. Yun family. The Yun family was an extremely large family. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment, a piece of news was sent to the Yun family, causing them to be incomparably shocked. What? Yun Tianchao was dead? Yun was also dead? What was going on? The Yun family's people were incomparably ferocious. They had already ignored Yun He's death, but they simply couldn't accept Yun Tianchao's death. In fact, they couldn't believe it. When Yun Tianchao's corpse was brought back, and the Yun family's people saw it, they finally believed it. Endless roars rang out. Who was it that dared to kill Chao? I'll tear that person into 10,000 pieces. Frenzied voices rang out. Countless elders were crazily roaring. The Yun family's patriarch's expression was also malevolent. Quickly, go, and invite back the saint of our family. The saint they wanted to find was Yun, he and Yun Tianchao's uncle. He was a very young saint with great strength and talent. He was definitely the pillar of the Yun family. As for Yun Tianchao, he could have become such a pillar. If Yun Tianchao had continued to grow, he would have become a saint. If he had grown to become a saint, the Yun family would have had two extremely powerful pillars. The Yun family's status would also rise. In fact, if those two saints were able to take another step forward, the Yun family would have truly become rich. But now, Yun Tianchao had been killed. They simply couldn't accept it. They had to use all of their strength to kill their enemy. Chapter 30, 299. The day of the Vermilion Bird ranking competition was getting closer and closer. However, on this day, a piece of news spread like wildfire across planet Suzaku. A saint had arrived on planet Suzaku and was going to participate in the Vermilion Bird ranking competition. This news was like a clap of thunder that stunned everyone. Heavens, what did you say? A saint is going to participate? That can't be, right? A saint is going to compete with us? Many people went crazy. Who is this? It has to be said that everyone participating in the Vermilion Bird ranking competition was half-sages. However, there was a difference in age. Some were very young, while others were very old. However, they were all half-sages. Aside from lacking a bit in experience, they could make up for everything else. But now, a saint ninja had jumped out? It couldn't be another rumor, right? Before, people said that a saint was going to participate, but it was only a rumor. No one knew which saint it was. It seemed like this time was about the same. However, some people shook their heads. No, they had already confirmed which saint it was. It was the Yun family's saint. Could the Yun family's saint be Cloud Firmament Saint? That's right, it was him. The moment he said that, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, because they knew that something big had happened in the Yun family. Not long ago, two of the Yun family's geniuses were killed in Sunset City. One of them was Cloud Sword Yun Tianchao. He was a top genius and one of the favorites to win the competition. Now that someone like him was killed, the Yun family would definitely not let this go. They had thought of many possibilities, but none of them had. A saint was going to participate in the competition. But why? They could have just sent a saint to kill the enemy. Why did they have to participate? No one could understand. On the other side, a tall saint descended on planet Suzaku and was invited away by countless people. The Vermilion Bird Palace sent people to receive him. They wanted to persuade him not to participate. After all, their goal this time was to help Yen Nantion gain some fame. However, Cloud Firmament Saint's attitude was very firm. He looked at the Vermilion Bird Palace Master and the elders and said, "I'm participating in this competition to find the person who killed my Yun family's genius." Find the person who killed him? The Vermilion Bird Palace Master and the elders all frowned. They all frowned. The Cloud Sky Saint said coldly, "That's right. You should know that the genius of the Yun family was killed. I heard the news and rushed over. I asked many people, but found that the murderer had disappeared. I don't know what method he used, but I can't touch him at all. Maybe he's hiding now. However, I believe that since he is so powerful and has appeared here, he should be here to participate in the Vermilion Bird Tournament. Therefore, I must participate in the battle." Only in the competition could they find him and recognize him. "Don't worry, as long as I kill that opponent, I'll immediately withdraw from the competition. It won't affect you guys." Hearing that, the elder's eyes flickered, but the Vermilion Bird Palace's palace master nodded. They didn't want to offend a sage for no reason. Furthermore, since the sage had said so, it was unlikely that he would take first place on the Vermilion Bird leaderboard. That way, Yen Nantion would not be threatened. "Since you are here, stay in the Vermilion Bird Palace." The palace master invited the Cloud Sky Saint in. At the same time, he instructed the marshalists under him to quickly investigate and capture the culprit. When the news spread, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard about it. It turned out that it was true that Cloud Firmament Saint was participating in the battle. However, his goal was not to win the championship. However, this still posed a certain threat to them. Moreover, with the Cloud Sky Saint's participation, another group of powerhouses was preparing to participate. Originally, these people didn't want to participate, but now that a sage was participating, it piqued their curiosity. All of a sudden, the Vermilion Bird leaderboard became even more lively, and the competition became even more brutal. Those prodigies who were originally confident of getting a higher ranking. They also frowned. Their expressions were solemn. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left Luoxia City and immediately changed their appearance and aura. They knew that the Yun family might send a sage over. As expected, they received news that the Cloud Sky Saint was here. However, the two of them sneered. So what if a sage was here? They probably wouldn't be able to find them in a short time. When they heard that the sage was going to participate in the competition, Lin Xian frowned. "Kid, be careful," the Crimson Dragon reminded him. Lin Xian snorted. "Don't worry, I also want to fight with the sage." A fiery light burst out from his eyes. With his current strength, he was not weaker than a sage. However, he didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. The two of them didn't move again. Instead, they found a place. They temporarily lived in seclusion. Among them, Lin Xian had to adjust himself to his peak state, while the Crimson Dragon had to study the heaven-crippling chessboard game. After the middle-aged scholar was killed, the heaven-crippling chessboard fell, and was put away by the Crimson Dragon. In the end, Lin Xian searched his soul and directly obtained some information about the heaven-crippling chessboard game. The storage ring of the Lord was also taken away and given to the Crimson Dragon. The heaven-crippling chessboard game was a very terrifying formation with infinite power. Only Lin Xian could break it with his strength. It would be difficult for the others to escape. If they were not careful, they might even be killed in the formation. It could be said that the formation was very terrifying. The Crimson Dragon was good at formations. If he could comprehend and control the heaven-crippling chessboard game, his strength would increase again. Perhaps by then, he could use the game to trap a sage. The Crimson Dragon originally wanted to participate in the battle, but He changed his mind after learning about the heaven-crippling chessboard game. He wanted to study formations, so he didn't want to participate. Another reason was that if he was outside, Lin Xian would participate. The two of them could take care of each other and deal with unexpected situations. There were still 10 days before the Vermilion Bird tournament. A piece of news came from the Vermilion Bird Palace. It was the rules of the Vermilion Bird tournament. There were also corresponding rewards. Lin Xian went to the surrounding cities and also received the news. He didn't think much of it, but the others were in an uproar, because in their opinion, it should be a simple battle with simple rules. All they needed to do was to determine the winner. However, the situation was beyond their expectations. There were 3 stages. How could there be so many? Those prodigies frowned. They read the rules carefully and soon understood. It was probably because there were too many people participating in this competition. If it was a normal competition, it would probably take a long time to finish it all. Therefore, the Vermilion Bird Palace wanted to arrange a knockout round to eliminate most of the top prodigies and retain the top prodigies. That way, it would be convenient and simple, and it would ensure that the battles would be exciting and attract the attention of countless people. Chapter 3300. Lin Xian also received the news. He found that the first part was similar to a trial in a mystic realm. It would probably eliminate most people. The second part wasn't about elimination, but ranking. Ascending the Vermilion Bird Arena. Ascending the Vermilion Bird Arena would be the temporary ranking. The third part was about challenges, the most intense battles. This was because the third part was the final ranking. It was the final result of the Vermilion Bird Arena, and this result would affect the rewards. Lin Xian didn't look at anything else. He directly looked at the reward for first place on the Vermilion Bird Arena. Soon, he found that there was indeed an Earth Dao stone among the treasures. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. He had to get first place. Aside from the Earth Dao stone, there were many other treasures and pills. However, Lin Xian didn't care about them. He could get all these resources. However, there was something else that caught his attention. First place, including the top 5, had a spot to enter the Void Sea. A spot to enter the Void Sea? Lin Xian was shocked. Was it the final mission given to him by the Langya planet to go to the Void Sea to get a treasure? It seemed that the Void Sea was not simple. It should be a treasure trove. Thinking about this, Lin Xian took a deep breath. He didn't care about this for now. The most important thing now was to enter the Vermilion Bird Arena and get first place. He had to get the Earth Dao stone first. As long as he got first place, not only would he get the Earth Dao stone, but he would also get a Metal Dao stone as a reward from the Langya planet. As for the Water Dao stone, it was said that it was also in the Void Sea. In order to get the 5 Elemental Dao stone, he wouldn't go easy this time. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. There were only 3 days left. All the participating geniuses had left because they were going to participate in the first trial. In other words, it was the elimination round. The location of the first trial was very famous. It was a very famous place on planet Suzaku called the Demon Cultivation Valley. It was said that this place was a large battlefield in ancient times. Countless powerful cultivators fought there. Some people also said that this was a place filled with ancient ruins. Countless powerful cultivators' caves and treasures were buried there. However, it was very dangerous. Those who entered for the treasures were all buried inside, never to come out again. In short, this was a very dangerous place. The first stage of the competition was actually here. It was truly shocking. For a moment, many people hesitated. They had also heard of how terrifying the Devil Cultivation Valley was. Originally, they were just participating in the battle. Even if they failed and were eliminated, it wouldn't be a big deal. But now, failure could mean death. Was it worth it for a mere vermilion bird proclamation ranking? However, it didn't take long for most of them to grit their teeth, and a wisp of madness appeared in their eyes. Because they felt it was worth it. That was because the vermilion bird leaderboard this time had attracted the attention of countless people. If one was able to win here, then there would definitely be enormous benefits. Therefore, no matter how dangerous the Devil Cultivation Valley was, he still had to give it a try. Moreover, these people were all geniuses and had boundless confidence in themselves. Moreover, some people had already started to form alliances. Those who knew each other and were familiar with each other had started to form alliances. They were prepared to join forces to fight against others after entering. After all, the first round was an elimination round. Most of the people would probably be eliminated. In that case, if he joined forces with people he knew, he would be able to eliminate others and protect himself. Therefore, such a group alliance was quickly formed among the many contestants. Lin Xian didn't form an alliance with anyone. Originally, he could have formed an alliance with the Crimson Dragon, but now that the Crimson Dragon wasn't participating, he would participate alone. However, so what if he didn't form an alliance? When he arrived at the Devil Cultivation Valley, there was only one day left until the day of the competition. Lin Xian arrived at the edge of the valley. He looked into the distance and revealed an expression of shock. Originally, he thought that the valley wouldn't be very big, but now it seemed that although it was called a valley, wasn't it a bit too big? He couldn't even see the end of the valley. It stretched for millions of kilometers. This valley was definitely incomparably large. Furthermore, the valley below was actually red. Red soil, red mountains, and even the trees were red, bringing with them a scorching hot aura. Planet Suzaku was originally a planet that leaned toward the fire element. There were fire element veins everywhere here, so the amount of fire element energy was very abundant. However, the Devil Cultivation Valley was a bit different. Aside from the scorching red energy, there was also a strange cold aura that seemed to be able to devour people. Night fell and passed very quickly. The sky gradually brightened, and at the same time, countless figures descended. Among them, there were a few that were very eye-catching. Because these people flew very fast, one of them was very handsome. He had a slender figure and wore a purple robe. He gave off the aura of a ruler. The moment he appeared, he attracted the attention of countless people. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky. Suddenly, they exclaimed, "Yen Nantian, he's here." Countless exclamations sounded. Many of them were seeing Yen Nantian for the first time. They were shocked. Is this the successor of a great emperor? His aura is indeed very strong. Yes, I actually feel that it's unfathomable. Even some experts who had been famous for a long time had their eyes flickering. Humph! However, a few cold snorts came from the countless participants. It was obvious that some people were very unhappy with Yen Nantian's appearance. One of them was tall and had scales on his body. No one dared to go near where he was. In fact, the aura coming from his body was so oppressive that it made it difficult for everyone to breathe. It's him, Long Zhaotian. What? He's Long Zhaotian? At first, the surrounding people were surprised. Who was so terrifying? Moreover, it seemed that he wasn't from the human race. Now, they finally knew that it was Long Zhaotian. It seemed that he was from the dragon race. Was he a genius of the dragon race? He probably wasn't weaker than the successor of a great emperor. Long Zhaotian's eyes were like rainbows as he stared at Yen Nantian in the sky. At the same time, on the other side, another figure arrived. It was a figure that was emitting a white light. It was like a celestial spirit had descended. His eyes were even more strange. They formed a strange saber-shaped pattern that made people feel as if they were pierced by it. It's him, Zhao Wuliang. Heavenly blade god eyes. What a terrifying eye technique. Both Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang were the favorites to win the championship. As soon as they appeared, their auras emerged and clashed in the sky, tearing countless large cracks. However, it wasn't over yet. Those ranked at the top of the Abyss leaderboard had all arrived. In addition to Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang, there was also a beautiful woman who stepped on the air. When they saw this beautiful woman, countless people exclaimed. Even Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang were surprised. Chapter 33:01. Yan Nantian also narrowed his eyes. Lin Xian was even more shocked. Yan Ruyu, this beautiful woman, was Yan Ruyu, who came from the same world as him. She was a genius of the Demon King Palace. Not only that, but she was also Lin Xian's old friend. Lin Xian did not expect to meet Yan Ruyu here. He wondered how Chou and Qingchun were doing. Did they come to participate in the competition? However, after looking around, he shook his head slightly. It seemed that the two of them were not in this star field. Yan Ruyu's arrival attracted the attention of countless people. Her beautiful face made everyone gasp in amazement. However, Yan Nantian and the others looked solemn. They knew that this beautiful woman was not only beautiful, but also extremely powerful. She was even ranked above Zhao Wuliang on the Abyss leaderboard. Yan Ruyu's beautiful face looked around. Soon, she was shocked. Then she turned her head and looked at a figure in the crowd below. However, when she saw that figure, she frowned. She realized that she could not see him clearly. At this moment, Lin Xian did not use the light that he did that day to cover his face. However, the others could not see him clearly either, because he used the power of annihilation. All the gazes in front of him would be disintegrated and dissipated. "You're here too," another voice sounded. Then another tall and slender man descended. As soon as he descended, everyone felt that the surrounding trees were growing crazily as if they were going to break through the clouds. Who was this person? They were shocked. They did not expect this person to cause such a phenomenon. It was him, the Northern Beast, the body of 10,000 beasts. In terms of combat strength, he might not be the best, but his vitality and recovery ability were definitely super strong. He even surpassed Yan Nantian and the others. Many people exclaimed and looked at the figure in the sky. The Northern Beast was also ranked in the top 10 on the Abyss leaderboard. Moreover, his body of 10,000 beasts was also shocking. It had been a long time. Yan Ryu greeted the Northern Beast. The Northern Beast nodded back. This scene shocked everyone. Could it be that the two of them knew each other? However, they were soon even more shocked because Yan Nantian looked at the two of them with a smile on his face. "The two of you, long time no see. I did not expect that we would meet again after being in the same world." What? Everyone's scalps were about to explode because Yan Nantian's words were too shocking. Yan Nantian, the Northern Demon, and Yan Ryu were all in the same world? This was too inconceivable. To think that there would be 3 peak-level geniuses in a single world. Furthermore, they were walking together on the ancient path of stars. It was truly shocking. It should be known that the 3 of them were not ordinary sky prides. Instead, they were sky prides who were extremely dazzling on the Abyss leaderboard. For example, Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the other top geniuses all came from different worlds. Therefore, this news was truly shocking. Even Long Zhaotian was extremely surprised. That's right, 2 of the 5 heroes of the world back then had actually appeared. "I wonder if that fellow is here?" Yan Ryu whispered softly. Her gaze even drifted in a certain direction. She stared at a figure, but she quickly retracted her gaze. This made everyone shocked. It seemed like they really did come from the same world. However, what they were more curious about was, who was the guy that Yan Ryu spoke of? Hearing that, the Northern Demon's gaze turned serious, while Yan Nantian sneered. He wouldn't have been able to come if he didn't have a chance. Don't you know the news from before? He and the great demon had already died in the galaxy. If they wanted to appear again, they would probably have to wait until their next lives. What? This news made Yenryu abnormally shocked. That person had perished together? But how was that possible? Who was that person below? She had been in seclusion previously and did not know what had happened in the outside world. Moreover, when she arrived, she realized that other than Yen Nantian and the Northern Demon, there was another person that she knew. Moreover, the two of them had an extraordinary relationship. However, that person had concealed his identity. But now, Yen Nantian was telling her that that person had perished together with the great demon. Could it be that the person below was not someone she knew? But that shouldn't be the case. She was certain that she was not wrong. Moreover, the reaction of a mysterious object in her body also told her that she was definitely not wrong. It seemed that he had deceived everyone. Yenryu understood in an instant, but she still didn't say anything, showing a sorrowful look. However, when the others heard that, they were stunned. What was going on? Perished together with the great demon? Who was it? Could it be the successor of the 9 sons? They instantly understood who Yen Nantian was talking about. Heavens! The successor of the 9 sons. They actually knew the successor of the 9 sons. And from the looks of it, they were extremely familiar with him. Could it be that the successor of the 9 sons came from the same world as them? Thinking of that, everyone's scalps were about to explode. What kind of world was Heaven's? How could it give birth to so many top prodigies? Could it be the legendary and incomparably terrifying Big Dipper? They did not know because no one had mentioned it before. If they wanted to find out, they would have to spend a lot of effort. But now, they couldn't care less. There were still some people watching the battle outside. Among them, the Crimson Dragon crossed his arms and sneered. At that moment, he was still in the appearance of a handsome man. However, his face was different from before. At that moment, when he heard Yen Nantian's words, he immediately sneered. I'm looking forward to seeing your expressions when you see that kid. Boom. Just as everyone was discussing in surprise, a terrifying power came from the sky. Everyone's hearts trembled, and many people knelt on the ground. They were all terrified and did not speak. In the sky, the laws descended. Their eyes widened. The sage had arrived. Needless to say, it had to be the Cloud Sky Sage. Indeed, only the Cloud Sky Sage was participating in the battle. They did not know if there were other sages in secret. The laws definitely showed that the other party had arrived. The Cloud Sky Sage was a tall, middle-aged man. As soon as he descended, he brought with him a powerful law power that suppressed the world. He was like a supreme god. Even Yen Nantian, the North Demon, and the others were on guard. The Cloud Sky Sage's eyes flickered with light as he swept his gaze in all directions. It was obvious that he was looking for the culprit. Everyone who was swept by his gaze trembled, and their faces were filled with fear. However, they soon heaved a sigh of relief because the gaze swept past them. However, it was fixed in an area. When it swept past Lin Xian's aura changed completely. He even used the power of the law of annihilation to resist it. Therefore, Lin Xian had deceived the Cloud Sky Sage. However, as a sage, the Cloud Sky Sage was very powerful and naturally sensitive. Even if he could not confirm Lin Xian's identity, he had locked onto an area. That area was the area where Lin Xian was. Chapter 3302. What's going on? The elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace followed Cloud Firmament Saint. When they saw Cloud Firmament Saint's actions, they were also confused. Could it be that he had found the culprit? Cloud Firmament Saint sneered. Humph, I can already feel his presence. Although I can't be sure, I know that he's among these people. Cloud Firmament Saint had locked onto 200 people. Although it was a lot of people, it was nothing to Cloud Firmament Saint. However, he didn't move. It seemed that he was planning to enter the Devil Cultivation Valley before making his move. One could imagine how miserable the fate of these 200 people would be. After Cloud Firmament Saint, many more people appeared. These people's auras were also very powerful, but their faces were unfamiliar. No one knew who they were, but without exception, they were all experts. Apart from them, Lu Mu and the others had also arrived. It could be said that geniuses and experts had gathered. At this moment, the two elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace stood up and said, "I now announce that the first round of the Vermilion Bird rankings has begun. You have 1 month. You only need to survive for 1 month in the Devil Cultivation Valley. After a month, those who come out will be considered to have passed. Of course, I must remind everyone that this battle is very cruel and killing is not prohibited. Furthermore, the Devil Cultivation Valley is also a place of great danger. If you want to leave now, you can leave immediately. Of course, those who come out halfway will also be considered eliminated. Now, I will use the array to teleport you to every corner of the Devil Cultivation Valley. Take care of yourselves from now on." The two elders waved their hands, and the mountains and rivers below formed a terrifying formation that enveloped everyone. In the next moment, everyone disappeared. At the same time, a loud voice rang out from the elder's mouth. The first round had begun. The Devil Cultivation Valley was incomparably gloomy. The red ground emitted a scorching aura, but at the same time, there was also a gloomy aura. With a flash of light, all the people participating in the competition arrived in the valley. However, very few people were able to teleport together because the valley was too big. Yen Nantian took a step and left the place where he was originally standing. The ground split open, and a terrifying vine swept towards him. However, it wasn't a threat to him. After Yen Nantian dodged it, his eyes flickered, and a smile appeared on his face. "A bunch of ignorant ants. They're all my stepping stones." These people probably didn't know how terrifying the Devil Cultivation Valley was. But by the time they reacted, it would be too late. He muttered to himself as a cold light flashed in his eyes. "However, I've already been here once, so I'm more familiar with this place." He waved his hand, and a map appeared in front of him. There were many dots of light on the map. Clearly, they were very important places. "It seems that I'm close to this place." Yen Nantian first ascertained his position, then looked at the map, and a smile appeared on his face. Since that was the case, then he would first obtain the law. There was a slight fluctuation in the air, but it soon calmed down. No one knew that Yen Nantian had already been there. On the other side, a tall figure descended. It was Cloud Sky Saint. Soon he snorted. "So that's how it is. This place is just like the legends. However, it's not much of a threat to me." His body flickered, and he quickly left. At the same time, Yen Ryu, the Northern Devil, Lu Mu, and the others also arrived. Lin Xian also appeared in a dense forest. The moment he appeared, there was a terrifying sound in front of him. Those vines were like dark clouds. They pressed down with a gloomy aura, wanting to entangle Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly and flicked his finger. A fiery red light surged forward, intending to burn the trees. Soon he exclaimed, "What's going on?" He was stunned. Although he had used fire, it didn't have the aura of the law. The law fragment was gone. How could this be? Lin Xian was too shocked. In the next moment, the black vines wrapped around him. They had a terrifying poison on them and wanted to pierce his heart. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His 9-yang divine body shone brightly, and a powerful force shattered the vines into pieces. Boom! He raised his fist and punched forward. The trees in front of him were shattered. Then he frowned. He tried again, and found that not only was the law of fire gone, but the other law fragments were also gone. Did all the laws that he had comprehended disappear? What's going on? Impossible. However, he couldn't use them now. Damn it, there's something wrong with this demon cultivation valley. In an instant, he understood that it wasn't his problem. Instead, it was this valley that had a problem. The heaven and earth here seemed to be suppressing his law fragments. At this moment, Hay too transmitted his voice. Kid, this place seems to be different. It's a world of its own, so the laws here might be different from the outside world. There's such a thing. Lin Xian was shocked. Hay too continued. Indeed, a powerful saint could form a special space and plant his own law inside. In that space, the person who created the law was the ruler of heaven and earth. Based on the current situation, it was very likely that someone, or perhaps some saints, had joined forces to create this space. Therefore, the laws here were also revered by the saints who created the space. The other laws were suppressed and couldn't be used at all. So that's how it is. Lin Xian finally understood. He said that this space should be suppressing everyone. That saints shouldn't be able to use it either. He too said, that's right, that cloud sky saint was very powerful, but he was probably only a first heaven saint. The gap between the ninth heaven saint and every improvement was incomparably huge. This demon cultivation valley must have been formed by the cooperation of those powerful saints in the ancient times, or even further back. Therefore, that cloud sky saint couldn't break the laws here. He would also be suppressed. That's good. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Since everyone couldn't use the law, everyone was back to the same starting point. Next, Lin Xian began to think about other things. This was an elimination round, and the time limit was 1 month. As long as one could last for a month, they would pass. Therefore, he had to eliminate as many people as possible. Chapter 33:03. Since that was the case, from now on he would only fight the North Demon or Yen Ryu if he met them. He would not let anyone else go. Buzz. Lin Xian's feet shook. He wanted to soar into the sky, but soon he realized that even his flight was restricted. He could only fly close to the ground, and he could not fly more than 100 meters. Fortunately, he still had his physique. He flew at a low altitude, and his speed was extremely fast. Along the way, he met many monsters, and most of them were extremely cold. There were also many that had terrifying flames. However, Lin Xian had effortlessly smashed them apart with his physical strength. At this time, a blood-curdling scream came from afar. It was very miserable. The entire forest shook as countless crows flew out of the forest and flew towards the distance. Someone was under attack. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and rushed in that direction. Soon, he found that someone was killed, and his body was torn into pieces. There was a terrifying power in it. The ground around him collapsed, and a bottomless hole appeared. Seeing this, Lin Xian was shocked. What a terrifying power! It should be a body-tempering expert. Shaking his head, he ignored it and continued on his way. During this time, he met 2 people, and he easily took care of them. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, there were countless screams. Some people did not meet, and there were fierce battles. They were attacked by the monsters in the valley. The situation was very tragic. However, at this time, Yen Nanshan's lips curled into a smile. He looked at an ancient cave in front of him, and a smile appeared on his face. This should be the place. The cave was very strange. Half of the rock layer was black, and the other half was red. There were 2 strange powers in the cave. Yen Nantian did not hesitate and walked forward. At the same time, Lin Xian also stopped. There was also an ancient ruin in front of him. It was like a movie, and it had a desolate atmosphere. It was said that this demon cultivation valley was very unusual. Some said that it was an ancient battlefield, and there was a great battle here. There were also rumors that there were mysterious treasures inside. However, it was too dangerous, so ordinary people did not dare to enter. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he began his analysis. From the looks of it, there might be a battlefield inside, but so far there were no traces of a great battle. As for the second person to have the treasure, perhaps it was possible, but if it was, wouldn't it have been emptied long ago? One had to know. Half of their lives were able to enter this place. It should be easier for the saints on planet Suzaku to enter. Forget it for now. I'll go and take a look first. Lin Xian stepped forward, preparing to walk towards the palace in front of him. However, at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind, and 3 figures descended from the sky. If there's a palace, it must be a treasure trove. Ha ha ha, we're rich. The 3 of them laughed maliciously. However, when they saw that there was a figure who was even faster than them and was about to enter, they were instantly enraged. Damn you, kid, stay here. One of them stretched out his large palm and grabbed forward. Now, almost everyone knew that their laws were suppressed here. But so what? No one had any laws, so they returned to the same starting point. Therefore, they didn't care. In the blink of an eye, the palm enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian turned around and threw a punch, shattering the other party's palm. The person behind let out a muffled groan and retreated 2 steps. Beside him, the other 2 were also on guard. It was an expert. With a clang, they pulled out their weapons and released their auras. At the same time, Lin Xian turned around. They couldn't see his face clearly. It was so strange. They frowned, but soon heaved a sigh of relief, because they realized that the other party wasn't Yen Nantian. And the others. As long as he wasn't at the peak of the heaven stage, they wouldn't recognize him. He should be a nobody. Although he was a little strong, the 3 of them were not afraid of him. Get lost, kid. I'll spare your life. The person on the left shouted coldly. However, the person in the middle said that they couldn't let him go because he already knew the whereabouts of the treasure. If they let him go, he would definitely attract others, so they had to kill him to silence him. The person on the right also revealed a sinister smile. That's right, that's what I meant too. All right. The person on the left nodded. He looked at Lin Xian and sneered. Kid, blame your bad luck for seeing something you shouldn't have seen. Now, go to hell. The long spear in his hand stabbed over. The long spear was like a dragon, extremely terrifying and emitting light. It was considered powerful among the half-saints, but unfortunately, the other party's target was Lin Xian. Seeing that the other party dared to attack, Lin Xian sneered and grabbed forward with his palm. Boom! A slap landed on the tip of the spear. Immediately, the long spear changed direction and pierced into the ground. A terrifying force was transmitted to that person's hand. That person's palm split open and blood flowed wildly. Oh no, what a powerful force. This guy is a little terrifying. Help me kill him. The person on the left roared crazily and quickly repaired his body. Beside him, the other 2 people also charged over. One of them was a sword, while the other was a saber. Although they did not have the power of laws, they were still extremely terrifying. The biting cold sword chi and saber light slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered and swept out his right leg like a coiling dragon. Boom, boom, boom. There was an earth-shattering collision, and cracks appeared on the saber and sword of the 2 people. Their expressions became extremely ugly. Then, a golden fist carrying a monstrous golden flame charged towards them. Their weapons shattered, and they vomited blood and flew backward with faces full of horror. They realized that their bodies were shrouded in flames. The terrifying flames burned them miserably. The 3 of them screamed. Lin Xian, on the other hand, pretended to draw his sword and slashed forward. With a boom, the sword-drawing technique blasted the three of them into a bloody mist. After easily dealing with the three of them, Lin Xian turned his head and looked at the palace in front of him again. In the next moment, he walked in. It was very empty inside, and only his footsteps echoed. However, soon he was stunned again because he saw someone in front of him. In front of him, that person was originally sitting cross-legged and seemed to be cultivating. However, when he heard the footsteps, he suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment, he turned his head, and a fiery red light appeared in his eyes, instantly igniting the entire void. Lin Xian felt a scorching heat and snorted coldly. He stomped his foot, and his body emitted light. He furrowed his brows. In front, the person who turned his head was also stunned. Indeed, there was someone. He stood up. "Since you're here, then you can go to hell." As he spoke, he raised his finger and pointed forward. Lin Xian was also stunned because he realized that the other party was wearing a red robe with two mysterious patterns drawn on it. It was the attire of the Vermilion Bird Palace. The other party was from the Vermilion Bird Palace. In the next moment, he was even more shocked because he realized that the other party had pointed with his finger. A vermilion bird that was surrounded by raging flames appeared. This did not surprise him. What surprised him the most was that the vermilion bird phantom actually carried the power of laws, and the power of laws danced about. Chapter 3304. What was going on? Lin Xian was stunned. The next moment, he was hit by the vermilion bird and was instantly sent flying. An ant, unable to withstand a single blow. In front, that Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist retracted his finger, then sat down again, seemingly still wanting to cultivate. However, at this time, a voice came from outside. "Damn laws. How can you cultivate laws?" Nothing inside the palace. That Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist stood up again, a thick look of shock appearing in his eyes. It shouldn't be. The vermilion bird finger just now indeed hit the other party. The law of fire power on it was enough to burn the other party to death. Even if the other party was a half-sage, his body and soul would still be destroyed here. The strange thing was the Vermilion Bird Palace martial artist's figure flashed and instantly arrived outside the palace. The next moment, his eyes widened because he discovered that the person he had just sent flying was actually standing in front of him. His body was somewhat charred, but that blackness was rapidly fading. "You're not dead?" He was seriously too shocked. Could it be that the other party dodged just now? This guy's speed was actually so fast. Humph, a little interesting. However, you'd better die for me. He pointed out two fingers again. This time, two vermilion birds flew over, bringing along powerful phantoms. Lin Xian took a deep breath, a piercing light erupting from his eyes. Although he did not know why the other party would use laws, he reached out two palms, grabbing towards the left and right. It seemed like he wanted to catch the two vermilion birds. Two large golden hands kept growing larger, carrying terrifying power. In an instant, they grabbed the heads of the two vermilion birds. Then they pressed down hard on the ground. With a bang, the two vermilion birds were hit into the ground, directly piercing through the ground. Terrifying flames surged out, the blazing fire soaring into the sky. Sure enough, there was a problem with this law. Although this law was very strong, it was still not the same as outside. It seemed that the other party should still have his laws suppressed, but for some reason he obtained the law of fire here. Therefore, he could unleash such an attack. Lin Xian saw through it in an instant. In front, that Vermilion Bird Palace man was stunned, his eyes wide open. What did he see? The two law attacks he unleashed were blocked by the other party barehanded. How could this be? Who was the other party? What kind of physique did he have? One had to know that he was also a genius of the Vermilion Bird Palace. He naturally knew the rules of the Devil Cultivation Valley. Therefore, the moment he arrived, he found a space and quickly comprehended the laws within. Soon, he had condensed a fragment of the law of fire, which made him extremely happy. Now, he had far surpassed the others. Even those top geniuses couldn't beat him because those people couldn't use laws, but he could. That was because the Devil Cultivation Valley was very strange. It was a unique space formed by the cooperation of many sages. It formed its own heaven and earth and its own laws. Therefore, one had to cultivate here and comprehend the laws here before they could use it. Furthermore, once the laws were outside, they would disappear without a trace. Thus, comprehending them would be much faster than comprehending them outside. Therefore, he was able to comprehend the law of fire fragment in a short few days. Only the people of the Vermilion Bird Palace knew about this. The others simply didn't know. Therefore, they were able to seize the initiative. That was indeed the case. But now he found that it was useless. Lin Fan was able to use his physical strength to fight against his law of fire fragment. Lin Xian didn't answer the other party's question. Instead, he asked, "You being able to cultivate laws should have something to do with this palace, right?" It seemed that the secret was there. What a smart brat. Since you found out, there's nothing I can do. I can only silence you. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius's face sank and revealed a sinister expression. Although he didn't know what had happened, he had a huge advantage over Lin Fan. His law of fire fragment could definitely kill Lin Fan. "I don't believe you can block my second attack." He crossed his arms, and the law of fire fragment condensed, forming a Vermilion Bird Mountain that pressed down. This was one of the Vermilion Bird Palace's great abilities. It had boundless strength and could crush everything. Didn't Lin Fan have a strong physique? Then let's see if his physique was stronger or if his Vermilion Bird Mountain was more terrifying. Boom! With a wave of his hand, the Vermilion Bird Mountain soared into the sky. Under the influence of the law of fire fragment, it continued to expand until it filled the entire sky. Then it pressed down on Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. This scene was too shocking and would definitely attract the attention of others. If more experts came, it would be troublesome. He had to quickly kill his opponent and comprehend the law of fire fragment inside. Thinking of this, Lin Xian didn't hold back. He roared and raised his hands to meet the attack. With a boom, his hands blocked the Vermilion Bird Mountain. What? How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the Vermilion Bird Palace genius's eyes almost popped out. Lin Fan actually blocked it. This was too unbelievable. Lin Xian was like an overlord. He raised his hands to resist the Vermilion Bird Mountain. At the same time, he roared and used his strength to split the Vermilion Bird Mountain in half. Boom! With a stomp of his foot, he turned into a ray of light and rushed forward. In an instant, he was in front of his opponent. His fist was like a dragon as it punched forward. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius was still in shock. He couldn't believe that his ultimate skill and the law of fire fragment were destroyed by someone's bare hands. And Lin Fan only relied on the strength of his physical body. What kind of physique was that? Why hadn't he heard of it before? Suddenly, he screamed because he felt a huge pressure pressing down on him. Countless cracks appeared on his body. The next moment, he saw a golden fist in front of him. It was extremely fast. Not good. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius's pupils shrank. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. He could only roar crazily and use his strongest attack. Vermilion Bird Triple Strike. He extended both of his palms and waved them continuously, mobilizing all of his power. The fragment of the law of fire was used to the extreme by him. Lin Xian didn't hold back either. At this moment, he also used the 9 Yang divine body to the extreme. The golden runes on his body moved and shone with a mysterious light. Boom! There was an earth-shattering collision. Then, the Vermilion Bird Palace genius's eyes widened. His hands were smashed into a bloody mist, and his body was torn apart. His eyes were filled with fear. Impossible! Damn it! How was this possible? Finally, at the last moment, he saw the golden runes on his opponent's body. That was the symbol of the 9-yang divine body. Lin Fan had the 9-yang divine body, but that shouldn't be. Didn't the 9-yang divine body perish together with the great demon? Could it be that Lin Fan didn't die? The Vermilion Bird Palace genius thought of a possibility and screamed crazily. Lin Xian strode over and looked at the other party's head. His lips curled into a smile. You guessed it right. Chapter 33:05. It was really the 9-yang divine body. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius was about to go crazy. Previously, he only had suspicions, but now he felt that he had a definite answer. The next moment, his scalp went numb because he realized. He knew the most terrifying secret. The 9-yang divine body was not dead. If this news were to spread, who knew how big of a storm it would cause? Not good. He was probably in danger. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius had to beg for mercy. Spare me. I swear on my life that I will never tell your secret to anyone else. No need. Rather than believing in Vermilion Bird Palace, I might as well believe a dead person. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a cold light because he knew that Vermilion Bird Palace had already colluded with Yan Nantian. How could they let him go? Therefore, he would not be lenient. A sharp sword light flashed and pierced downwards. Not good. The Vermilion Bird Palace genius screamed. His soul instantly left his body, abandoning this body and wanting to escape. Although his vitality would be greatly damaged in the future, he would be able to preserve his life. He was very decisive, so he dodged the fatal sword. His body was destroyed, and his soul flew into the distance, his eyes filled with malice. When he returned, he must inform Vermilion Bird Palace to kill the other party. But in the next moment, he screamed because he realized that there was a pair of golden eyes looking down at him coldly in the void. In the next moment, his soul was ignited. He only let out a scream before he was burned to ashes. At that moment, Lin Xian frowned. He first picked up the other party's storage ring. Then he formed a seal with his palm and formed a formation that enveloped the entire area. Not long after he finished doing that, he heard the sound of something tearing through the air outside the formation. Then 2 figures lingered nearby. What's going on? I clearly heard the sound of fighting here. Could it be that it's already over? Perhaps. Let's go and eliminate the others. The 2 of them whispered and instantly disappeared into the void. After the 2 of them left, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that these people did not discover the formation he had set up. That was for the best. Buzz. He turned around and walked towards the palace in front of him again. When he arrived again, Lin Xian carefully sized up the place. Last time, he was only curious. Now, he knew that there must be something here that could allow them to quickly comprehend the laws of the Demon Cultivation Valley. There was nothing in the surroundings which made Lin Xian extremely suspicious. That shouldn't be the case. His guess shouldn't be wrong. Suddenly, he remembered that when he saw the other party was sitting there cross-legged and did not seem to notice the fight outside. Could it be that he had to adopt a certain posture? He walked forward and sat down cross-legged according to the posture of the Vermilion Bird Palace martial practitioner in his memories. Xian, 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 Xian position. Xian, 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 Xian was Xian, 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 Yuan, Xian, 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 Yuan, 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 Xian, Xian, Yuan, 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 Xian, 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 Yuan, Yuan, Xian, 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 Yuan, 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 Xian Yuan 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 Xian Yuan Xian Yuan Yuan. This was simply too shocking. Sure enough, the world of the Valley of Magic Cultivation was different from the outside world. The laws that he comprehended here would not be able to be used outside. However, this process of comprehension could help increase his experience. Lin Xian no longer hesitated and hurriedly comprehended. Originally, his law of fire was already close to forming a true law. Therefore, he was able to comprehend it even faster now. In just half a day, he had comprehended the law of fire fragment. Feeling the law fragments reappear on his fingertips, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He wondered if he could continue perceiving them and form true laws. If he formed the laws here, would he be able to break through and become a sage? Lin Xian didn't know. He was prepared to give it a try. Lin Xian continued to meditate. After spending 2 days, Lin Xian actually managed to condense the laws of fire. However, what surprised him was that he did not break through to become a sage. It seemed that the rules here were indeed different from the outside world. Since that was the case, Lin Xian left. It seemed that there wasn't only one such palace in this place. There were others. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace should have known. In an instant, he thought of Yan Nantian. He wondered how many palaces Yan Nantian had found. One. He soared into the air and left. On the other side, Yan Nantian walked out of the second palace. He had already comprehended 2 laws. With a wave of his hand, Yan Nantian took out the map again. He discovered that there was another palace nearby. However, Yan Nantian did not go there. Instead, he furrowed his brows. This place was a little dangerous. Forget it, it was better not to take the risk. Yan Nantian shook his head. He did not go to the one that was closer. Instead, he chose the one that was further away. He planned to first condense 3 laws before starting the hunt. It would be best if he could get through the first elimination round and eliminate the stronger opponents. This way, no one would be a match for him. Outside the Valley of Magic Cultivation, countless figures stood there to watch the battle. The Crimson Dragon's eyes flickered. They did not know how the kid was doing inside. However, they soon laughed. They were thinking too much. There were people who could threaten the kid, but no one could kill him. Even the Cloud Sky Sage could not do it. On the other side, the elders of the Vermilion Bird Palace looked down and narrowed their eyes. They did not know how many laws Yan Nantian had comprehended. They estimated that in a few days, the real slaughter would begin. Their eyes were burning with a fiery light. Below, in the Valley of Magic Cultivation, Yan Nantian stopped in his tracks. He had met someone, and his lips curled into a smile. I did not expect you to meet me so soon. It seems that your luck is really bad. Humph, cut the crap. Do you really think you can beat me? The figure snorted coldly. His body was covered in scales and was abnormally terrifying. He was the peerless genius, Long Zhaotian. Long Zhaotian was powerful. As a member of the dragon race, his bloodline was terrifying. He was ranked 2nd on the Abyss leaderboard, 2nd only to Lin Xian and Di Ling. He was even ranked higher than Yan Nantian. Therefore, when he heard Yan Nantian's arrogant words, Long Zhaotian was naturally unhappy. Boom! He stomped his foot and turned into a stream of light as he charged forward. His palm was like a mountain, shattering the entire sky. The power was extremely terrifying. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. I originally wanted to start a massacre after a while, but it's fine. I'll start with you. Yan Nantian's eyes exploded with a divine light. He slashed forward with his palm. Suddenly, green laws condensed and flickered, turning into a biting cold blade light that flashed out. Boom! Long Zhaotian was sent flying. His face was filled with fear. Damn it, what's going on? Laws, you can actually use laws. Chapter 33:06. He also realized that something was wrong. The green saber light carried a biting cold law of wind. How could the other party use law? One had to know that after entering the demonic cultivation valley, the law was suppressed. He thought that the others should not be able to use it either. But now, the situation was beyond his expectations. The other party was able to use law. Hee, you're surprised, aren't you? Ignorant ant, do you really think I'm the same as you? Now, go to hell for me. Countless bolts of lightning surrounded Yan Nanshan's palm, forming a ball of lightning. It also carried a terrifying law of lightning. Not good. Long Zhaotian's expression changed. He had to leave quickly because he was no match for the other party. He did not have law, so his power was much weaker than before. He had to figure out what was going on. Turning around, he tore the void apart and wanted to leave. You want to leave? Can you leave? Yan Nantian controlled the law of wind and quickly charged over. The lightning in his hand formed a lightning sword that pierced forward. In an instant, thousands of sword chi stabbed out. The incomparably violent power of lightning completely shattered the front. Long Zhaotian was once again affected and was sent flying. Although his physique was strong, he was still injured under the law. His scales were stained with blood. Damn it! He roared angrily and fled again. Yan Nantian chased after him. The two of them fought an earth-shattering battle that alarmed many people. What was going on? The power of law. Yan Nantian could use law. The surrounding people were all stunned. This scene was really beyond their expectations. Yan Nantian snorted coldly. The law of wind merged into the void, forming a terrifying wind blade that killed all the people around him. In an instant, more than 10 experts were killed. However, the commotion caused by this battle was too great. Moreover, there were still people around, so there were still people who escaped. The news spread out in an instant. Long Zhaotian also desperately used the power of his bloodline and finally escaped. Yan Nanshan's face was gloomy. He did not expect Long Zhaotian to escape from his hands. Moreover, what surprised him was that the news of law spread so quickly. He snorted coldly and did not chase after him. Instead, he turned around and walked towards his third target. He wanted to collect as much law power as possible before starting to hunt others. Yan Nantian left, but the news had indeed spread. Everyone was incomparably shocked. They couldn't use Dharma laws, but Yan Nantian could. It was really surprising. It seemed that Yan Nantian either had a treasure on him that could resist the laws of the valley, or there was something in the valley that could make him use the laws. For a time, countless people were frantically searching for him. At the same time, Cloud Sky's Saint also made his move. He had come to participate in the competition, this time to find the murderer. Previously, he had locked onto an area where there were 200 warriors. He wanted to eliminate them one by one. After killing the person in front of him with one palm, Cloud Sky's Saint started to collect the souls. He then scoffed coldly. This was the 33rd one. He said coldly. As it turned out, he had already started to take action in the past few days. In just a few days, he had actually killed 33 experts. It was truly unbelievable. It seemed that he had to pick up the pace. Cloud Sky's Saint began to use a great divine power. He continued to pursue his goal. Lin Xian walked out of the ancient palace and continued on his way. This place was very big, so it wasn't that easy to meet others. He had to search patiently. However, Lin Xian's current goal was to find the other palaces. However, he didn't find any palaces. Instead, he met two other people. The other two were from Vermilion Bird Palace. That's right, it's you. I can sense your aura from your body. You fought with the people from Vermilion Bird Palace before, right? The two of them stared at Lin Xian. The person on the right said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense with him. We'll know once we catch him and collect his soul." A terrifying aura rose from their bodies. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. You want to fight me? Great. I also want to test the power of the laws here. He waved his hand, and a ball of red runes floated out and danced in the sky. Fire Dharma! The two people from Vermilion Bird Palace narrowed their eyes. Damn it, you can actually use the laws. They were really shocked. It seemed that the news had been exposed. You should have killed our people from Vermilion Bird Palace. That's right, not only did I kill one, but I also want to kill both of you. Lin Xian's eyes burst with a piercing cold light. What an arrogant guy. So, what if you comprehended the laws? The two of us also comprehended the laws. 2 against 1. Can you beat us? The two of them laughed sinisterly. The water Dharma and earth Dharma on their bodies waved. It seemed that the most common laws here were the 5 elements Dharma and the mutated laws of the 5 elements Dharma. Stupid guy. Go to hell. One of the people from Vermilion Bird Palace instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was still behind Su Chen. He cultivated the earth Dharma and could use earth escape. Therefore, as long as there was earth, his speed was very fast. He instantly arrived behind Lin Xian and grabbed forward with his palm. On his hand claws, there was a sinister power. At the same time, the other person also attacked. The law of water formed a monstrous sea, forming a killer whale that covered the sky and rushed over. Facing the two people's super strong attacks, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, the fire Dharma in his palm became more and more resplendent. Then I'll let you see a real vermilion bird. He shouted coldly. The merciless Dharma turned into a vermilion bird and wrapped around his body. The vermilion bird roared at the sky. Its wings could move, forming a terrifying firestorm that enveloped the two people. The two people screamed like crazy. Damn it, why is the power of the fire so terrifying? They wanted to retreat because they realized that the other party was too evil. However, that vermilion bird spread its wings and flew. Its wings were like fiery red, heavenly blades, instantly splitting the two people's bodies. Burn! The monstrous fire enveloped everything. The other party's soul could not escape. After getting rid of 2 more people, Lin Xian disappeared again. Outside the Demon Cultivation Valley, the elder frowned. She realized that 2 more of the jade tokens in her hand had shattered. Damn it, what's going on? Up until now, there were already 3 Vermilion Bird Palace martial artists who were killed. Who was it? Was someone targeting their Vermilion Bird Palace? They did not know because they were already unable to stop it. After a few days, almost everyone knew about the Dharma. They also knew that there was a kind of palace in the Demon Cultivation Valley. One could comprehend the Dharma inside. Therefore, many people were frantically searching for it. Lin Xian was also searching. Furthermore, he was also looking for others. They're actually targeting me? Suddenly, Lin Xian was stunned. He realized that there were 2 forces rushing towards him. Could it be that they want to get rid of me? Or was it that the Dharma aura on his body had attracted these people? Chapter 3307. Thinking of this, he sneered and decided to take the initiative to attack. With a flicker, he charged toward the force on the right. His speed was very fast. When he saw those figures, he instantly attacked. The vermilion bird palm slapped out. The monstrous flames turned into a vermilion bird and flew forward. Everything in front of him was burned. What terrifying flames! Could it be someone from Vermilion Bird Palace? A cry of surprise came from the front. In the next moment, a terrifying saber light tore through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It slashed towards the vermilion bird. It's someone from Vermilion Bird Palace. Run! Those people were also sent flying. They hurriedly turned around and fled. Lin Xian snorted coldly and charged forward. At the same time, his eyes flickered. The flames on his body danced, enveloping all of his aura. At the same time, he transformed the flames into the form of a vermilion bird and enveloped his body. Since these people mistook him for someone from Vermilion Bird Palace, he did not explain. He would let Vermilion Bird Palace bear all of this grudge. In an instant, Lin Xian caught up to the other party. There were 5 people. When they saw that there was only one person charging over from behind, the 5 of them were stunned for a moment, then turned their heads. There was actually only one person. Don't hesitate, attack. They thought that it was a group of people from Vermilion Bird Palace. After all, forming an alliance was a very normal thing here. But now, there was only one person. In that case, they would not be polite. The 5 of them attacked one after another, but very soon, they discovered that they could not beat the person in front of them. The person in front of them was too terrifying. The flames were even more terrifying. They carried the power of laws and burned everything. Immediately, the 3 of them were sent flying. 2 of them were even ignited. More than half of their bodies were burned. They had to hurry and beg for mercy. Stop, we have no enmity. No enmity? So what? In front of Vermilion Bird Palace, you can kill whoever you want. But don't worry, I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you, but you've already lost the qualifications to compete. Su Chen imitated Vermilion Bird Palace's tone. With a wave of his hand, he enveloped the 5 of them and threw them into the sky. With a boom, the Vermilion Bird enveloped the 5 of them and rushed out of the valley. No, they screamed like crazy, but it was useless. Soon, they fell out. The spectators outside exclaimed in surprise. Why did someone come out? In the next moment, they saw 5 figures wrapped in the flames. When the 5 figures came out, their expressions were also ugly. They had only been in there for a few days, and before they could do anything, they were thrown out. Furthermore, they were all injured. What's going on? Why did you guys come out? The elders and masters of these people all gathered around. That shouldn't be the case. With the strength of the 5 of you, you should be able to last for at least half a month. You might even succeed. When the 5 of them saw their master's elders, they hurriedly cried out in alarm. They were from the Vermilion Bird Palace. What? Vermilion Bird Palace? The masters and elders of these people sucked in a breath of cold air and fell silent. The Vermilion Bird Palace was not something they could afford to offend. However, following that, more and more people were thrown out. After these people came out, they looked in the direction of the Vermilion Bird Palace, not daring to say anything. Who threw you guys out? It was Vermilion Bird Palace. They were from the Vermilion Bird Palace. Voices rang out one after another. The spectators were in an uproar. The Vermilion Bird Palace was too domineering, directly throwing people out. Wasn't this slapping the faces of these families in public? Indeed, many people shook their heads. If they were really domineering, wouldn't it be over if they killed them in the valley? That way, no one could blame the Vermilion Bird Palace. But now, the Vermilion Bird Palace did not do that. They did not kill, but they ruthlessly trampled on them. That was a resounding slap in the face. All of the families that were thrown out had unsightly expressions on their faces. Their bodies were filled with anger. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders also frowned. However, at that moment, one of them said, "Ignore them. No one dares to attack us here." However, not long after, when the 2 women were thrown out, it caused an uproar. They were actually 2 disciples of the Sky Qin Palace. The moment they appeared, the elders of the Sky Qin Palace instantly came over. What was going on? The 2 women also had ugly expressions. It was the Vermilion Bird Palace. Who did it? What? It was the Vermilion Bird Palace again. The surrounding people were stunned. The Sky Qin Palace people were instantly enraged. They stared at the Vermilion Bird Palace people with a cold glint in their eyes. Damn it, this grudge will be returned sooner or later. These elders brought the 2 women away. The Vermilion Bird Palace people also frowned, but thinking about it, it was really possible that it was their people who did it. These people were all thrown out by Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian was currently pretending to be a member of the Vermilion Bird Palace. After walking for another half a day, suddenly a scream came from ahead and a terrifying energy vibration. Right on the heels of that, a figure slammed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's figure flashed and dodged. That figure slammed into the ground, blasting out a huge deep pit. Instantly there was no aura. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He frowned because he saw a figure rushing over here rapidly. Cloud Firmament Saint. Lin Xian was surprised and turned around to leave because he saw 3 laws hanging on Cloud Firmament Saint's body, worthy of being a saint. To actually find 3 laws in such a short time. If it was outside, Lin Xian would not be afraid of Cloud Firmament Saint. But now, in this special space, his laws could not be used at all. Therefore, Lin Xian did not plan on getting into a conflict with the other party now. The most important thing now was still comprehending laws. Therefore, his figure flashed and instantly fled far away. Want to leave? Cloud Firmament Saint laughed coldly. His large palm enveloped the entire space. Lin Xian felt a tremendous pressure, wanting to push his body away. Humph! He snorted coldly, his body trembled, and he turned around. He just did not want to fight with the other party. Did they really think that he was afraid of the other party? Fire Law formed a law sword. A sword slashed forward. This sword was incomparably terrifying. It was like a bolt of lightning, instantly shattering his palm and arriving in front of Cloud Firmament Saint. Cloud Firmament Saint's expression changed. He extended 2 fingers. There were still 2 laws coiling around them, clamping this sword light. He was furious. Someone could actually threaten him. Who was it? Was it the murderer of the Yun family's prodigy? He stared at Lin Xian and realized that the flames on Lin Xian's body were monstrous. He could not see through the other party. The other party was very strange and suspicious. Cloud Firmament Saint's eyes shone with a piercing cold light. The 3 laws turned into divine chains of order and charged forward. Clattering sounds could be heard in the air. The entire world seemed to be controlled by the other party. Lin Xian was shocked and retreated. A saint was too terrifying. Although his combat strength was comparable to a saint's, he still could not compare to a saint's in terms of laws. Therefore, when he saw this scene, Lin Xian quickly retreated. However, he did not stop attacking. As he retreated, he pressed his palm against the ground. Chapter 33:08. Suddenly, the ground beneath Cloud Sky's Saint cracked open. Endless lava gushed out like a flaming beast and engulfed him. Boom. However, he only managed to kill an afterimage. The law of wind circled around Cloud Sky's Saint's body, making him extremely fast. You still want to fight me? Go to hell, you ant. A cold voice came from behind Lin Xian. Then, a palm with a sky full of lightning struck towards Lin Xian's head. Lin Xian did not even turn his head. Instead, he punched towards the sky. Boom. The 2 of them collided, causing the sky to shatter. Lin Xian retreated, and so did Cloud Sky's Saint. He was surprised that Lin Xian was able to block his attack. Who was he? One had to know that he was a sage. Facing these people, he could squash them like ants. Other than Yen Nantian and a few other top sky prides who could fight against him, the others were no match for him at all. They could not even block one attack. However, the mysterious person in front of him could fight against him. He found it hard to believe. Lin Xian was powerful and mysterious. He felt that the person in front of him might be the culprit. You were actually able to block my attack. Cloud Sky Saint was furious. He felt humiliated and provoked. Another attack came. It was As if a thundercloud had descended, the lightning turned into a chain of lightning that wrapped around his palm and fell mercilessly. Get lost! Lin Xian was also furious. He punched out, and the law of fire on his fist turned into a millstone that could destroy the world. It was another shocking attack. The two of them retreated. Let me show you my holy realm world. Cloud Sky Saint's voice was cold. He waved his hand, and the law of fire in the sky formed a space that enveloped them. The space was too real. Lightning roared, and ice spread, forming a small world. This was a unique technique of a saint. It was far beyond the domain of a king. Kill. In this world, Cloud Sky Saint was the ruler. With a cold shout, the lightning above his head struck down. This was the lightning tribulation of this small world, and it wanted to pierce through Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared, and the flames on his body surged to the sky. He turned into a vermilion bird and roared at the sky. At the same time, his right leg swept out to meet the incoming wind sword. The wind sword was too terrifying. It split the entire world into two halves. Lin Xian sent the wind sword flying with a single kick. His entire leg was numb. Ka, ka, ka. At this moment, a sky full of ice shrouded him, and 3 ice chains instantly nailed him to the void. Then, the space he was in was completely frozen. His entire body was also sealed in ice. The lightning sword and wind sword blasted over once again, completely shattering the space. At this moment, the people in the outside world all cried out in alarm. Heaven, what a terrifying attack! Did the Cloud Sky Saint make a move? It was most likely that the Cloud Sky Saint would make a move like this. It was probably one of the few top prodigies. Many people were discussing, and the Vermilion Bird Palace elders were all nervous. Could it be Yan Nantian? They did not know. In the Saint Realm's small world, Lin Xian's figure appeared. He was hit by the violent power of the laws, and the flames on his body were mostly torn apart. There were also cracks on his body. A ray of golden light shone out from the flames. Although he could not use the laws of wood now, his body was still extremely strong. The longevity incantation in his body quickly circulated. The flames spread again, shrouding the ray of golden light. What's up with that golden body? Cloud Sky Saint frowned. Is he hiding his identity? His face darkened, and he struck again. The entire small world shook, and Lin Xian was once again in an extremely dangerous situation. Kill! Lin Xian roared, and the shadow of a giant shot up into the sky. It held a sword of laws in its hand, and a dragon's roar resounded. With a slash of the sword, a terrifying crack appeared in the sky above the Saint Realm's small world. It was almost split open. However, it did not split open in the end. Damn it, what's wrong with this guy? Cloud Sky Saint was completely stunned, although the laws that he had comprehended now were not his original laws. So the power of the Saint Realm's small world was not as strong as before. But no matter what, it was still a saint's world. How could a half-saint split it open? He was completely enraged. He decided to capture the other party at all costs. The other party was too strange. With a cold shout, the crack in the sky healed, and the power of the Saint Realm's small world became terrifying again. However, with a resounding boom, the Saint Realm's small world began to tremble violently as it was cleaved into two. A voice floated out from the crack. Go. Quickly. After hearing this voice, Lin Xian shot up into the sky without any hesitation. Damn it! Seeing that his small world had split open again, Cloud Sky Saint was completely enraged. He reached out with his gale hand and wrapped it in all directions. However, it was pierced by someone in an instant. The only thing he saw was Lin Xian and another white-robed woman floating away. Yenryu? Cloud Sky Saint's face darkened, but he did not chase after them. This Yenryu was also very strange. She was actually able to split his small world. She must have a secret. After Lin Xian and the white-robed girl left, they flew for a while and landed on a mountain peak. The white-robed girl was Yen Ruyu. At this moment, she turned her head and looked at Lin Xian with a smile. "It's really you. I knew that you wouldn't die so easily. How did you recognize me so quickly?" Lin Xian laughed. Then the flames in the sky disappeared, revealing his true appearance. "What do you think? Actually, when I just arrived at the Demon Cultivation Valley, I recognized you immediately." You Lin Xian still wanted to ask. After all, he wanted to know what was going on with Yen Ruyu. Why did she change her name? Yen Ryu stretched out a jade-like finger and pressed Lin Xian's mouth. Then she shook her head slightly. "Don't ask anymore. You just need to know that I'm still me. I won't hurt you." Lin Xian did not ask anymore. He knew that everyone had secrets, especially top prodigies like her. For example, he had many secrets that he could not tell others. Yen Ryu was probably the same. "How many laws have you comprehended?" Lin Xian asked. "Two, the law of ice and the law of lightning. I received some news. There are many ancient palaces of demon cultivation, but it seems that there are only 9 laws. The 5 elemental laws: wind, lightning, ice, and mist. These 9 laws make up this demon cultivation world. Among them, the most threatening one is Cloud Sky Saint. He is a saint himself. Other than him, there is also Yen Nantian. Yen Nantian should have comprehended the most laws. Of course, I have another news to tell you. Among them, there are 3 people who are very special." Chapter 33:09. Although they were half-saints, they had the clones of saints in their bodies. Their strength was much stronger than the top half-saints. Although they were not true saints, they were definitely super terrifying. If you encounter them, you must be extremely careful. There were more clones of saints. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect that the Vermilion Bird list would attract so many saints. There was no choice. The Vermilion Bird Palace had taken out many good things, such as the Tao Stone. There were probably saints eyeing it. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. He would not let anyone snatch the Earth Tao Stone. "What are your plans?" Yen Ruyu asked. "Obtain first place in the Vermilion Bird list, and then kill Yen Nantian. Of course, if that Cloud Firmament saint doesn't know what's good for him, I don't mind sending him to the Yellow Springs as well." Lin Xian's voice carried an extremely cold, killing intent. Hearing this, Yen Ryu was stunned. This fellow's ambition was really not small. Yen Nantian was the successor of a great emperor, and definitely had countless Dharma treasures in his hands. She heard that just the escaped talismans alone had several. If you want to kill him, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Probably even saints would not be able to kill him. Cloud Firmament Saint was also incomparably terrifying. His realm was very high, and his divine abilities were even more mysterious. It would not be easy for you to kill these 2 people. Cloud Firmament Saint did not care, but this Yen Nantian must be killed. No matter how many life-saving methods he had, he was not an immortal existence. If he did not die once, then kill him twice, 3 times, until he exhausted all his resources. Lin Xian's eyes bloomed with a cold, killing intent. Yen Ryu asked curiously, "Why do the 2 of you have such a great enmity?" It was very common for geniuses to compete for attention, but for Lin Xian's current situation, it was probably not a simple competition. Lin Xian said coldly, "It was him who lured the great demon out to kill me. Do you think I can let him go?" "So that's how it is." Yen Ryu understood. However, it was better not to act too rashly now. It was better to comprehend more laws first. Next, Lin Xian and Yen Ryu joined hands and quickly searched. Finally, the 2 of them found 3 halls. The 2 of them had comprehended 3 types of laws. In addition to what they had comprehended previously, Lin Xian had 4 types, and Yen Ruyu had 5 types. Not long after, they killed a few more people and seized a palace. However, they did not enter, and were instead bounced back. What's going on? Lin Xian frowned. Why can't I go in? Yen Ruyu's eyes also flickered. It's over. I was too careless. There must be a condition to enter this place. Conditions? What conditions? We just went in casually. Suddenly, he was stunned. Could it be that there was a limit to the number of people who could enter? It was possible. For example, each palace could only allow a certain number of people to enter. Once the number of people reached a certain number, the palace would close. No one else could enter at all. The two of them discussed and quickly came to this conclusion. They remained silent, but at this moment, the entire Devil Cultivation Valley began to tremble. What's going on? What happened? Lin Xian and Yen Ryu felt the tremors as if they were facing a great enemy. The reason for that was because that aura was simply too mysterious and too terrifying. However, the tremors lasted for a short while before disappearing. However, when it disappeared, Lin Xian frowned. He realized that there were 4 more colors on his body. Yen Ryu had 5 colors on her body. What's going on? Why are there colors? The colors were like rays of sunlight that floated on their bodies. They transformed into colorful dragons that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Instead of disappearing, they were extremely dazzling. They could be seen from afar. These were the colors of the laws. Lin Xian was surprised. He had 4 types of laws, so 4 colors were displayed. Yen Ruyu's 5 types of laws were 5 colors. They turned their heads and realized that the palace in front of them had a similar color on the wall. It was green. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu did not have such a color. It was indeed like that. Lin Xian understood. It seemed that there was a limit to the number of people who could enter. Now that there was a color, did it mean that they could obtain the qualifications to enter the Green Palace by killing those who had green laws? That should be the case. Yen Ryu's face was also cold. Next, the 2 of us will have to work together. That's right. I'm relieved to work together with you. Lin Xian nodded. Yen Ryu also revealed a beautiful smile. They raised their heads and looked into the distance. Indeed, there were also rays of light flickering in the distance. Some had 1, some had 2, some had 3, and the one with the most had 7. There was also one with 6, while the rest had 4 or 5. Who was the one with 7 colors? Was it Yen Nantian or Cloud Firmament Saint? Lin Xian did not know. However, he knew that a bloodbath was about to happen. Indeed, the others also noticed this change. Even the people outside of the Devil Cultivation Valley also saw the colorful lights moving around. They knew that there was a change in the Valley of Demon Cultivation. Next, there would be a large number of killings, because at this moment, those who had colors became the target of everyone. I now have the gold, fire, wind, and lightning laws, which are yellow, orange, green, and purple. Yen Ryu had 1 more color than him. That was the ice law. The one closest to them had 3 types of laws. His body had a blue color, which was a color that they did not have. Therefore, Lin Xian and Yen Ryu prepared to make their move. The 2 of them were very fast as they rushed forward. At the same time, the person with 3 types of laws in front seemed to have seen it too. He was immediately scared out of his wits. He fled like crazy. He tried to hide the light, but he could not. The laws of heaven and earth made it necessary for the light to exist. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu instantly caught up to the martial artist with 3 types of laws. The martial artist's face became very ugly. He had white wings on his body and was flying rapidly. However, he was directly enveloped by a huge hand. He was scared out of his wits. Damn it! The person in front stopped. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu landed. After seeing the other party, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The prodigy of the white crane race. Moreover, he recognized the other party. The other party was also a genius on the Abyss rankings. However, in front of him, it was still not enough. The genius of the white crane race also saw Lin Xian and Yen Ryu. At this moment, Lin Xian's face was still covered, so he could not see clearly. However, he recognized Yen Ryu. His pupils shrank, and his face became very ugly. It turned out that it was Fairy Yen, a powerhouse of the white crane race. He braced himself and greeted them. Yen Ryu said, in a sweet voice, since they already knew, they should quickly capture him. Don't kill me. I'm willing to use a law in exchange for my life. As he spoke, he roared and directly grabbed the blue light on his body and forcibly pulled it out of his body. This process was very painful, but the man of the white crane race still managed to do it quickly. Soon, a blue light danced in the sky like a dragon. It carried a vast aura of the law of water. The law could actually be separated from the body. Lin Xian was surprised. It seemed that the laws here were really mysterious. However, this should be a protective law. Between life and law, one had to choose one. Chapter 33:10. Yen Ryu smiled, seemingly very satisfied with the other party's approach. She turned her head to look at Lin Xian. Go get it. Seeing that Lin Xian still wanted to delay, Yen Ryu said, I don't have such a big target like you, and I don't have anyone to kill, so I can guarantee that I can pass the first round. You are different. If you encounter those two people, it will definitely be a life and death battle. All right. Lin Xian did not stand on ceremony. He directly waved his hand and grabbed the blue law. However, he did not immediately comprehend it, because that blue law was like a swimming dragon coiling above his palm. It seemed that he had only obtained a qualification to comprehend the law, and this prerequisite was that he had to find the hall of the law of water. So that's how it was. Looks like he had to go find the hall. Lin Xian and Yen Ryu rushed into the sky. They disappeared into the void. After 2 days, Lin Xian found the hall of the law of water. He went in to comprehend, while Yen Ryu waited outside. At the same time, a few people targeted the two of them, because the light on the two of them was really too eye-catching. At this moment, it was very chaotic. The figures with many colors of light were doing their best to eliminate others. Between each other, there was also a struggle, but among them, there was a clear distinction. Among them, there were those with 7 and 6 colors. No one dared to provoke them. Wherever the other party passed, others would retreat one after another. As for those with 3, 4, and 5 colors, the struggle was extremely intense. They knew that these were basically people with similar strength and had to be eliminated now. Otherwise, there would be an intense life and death battle in the future. There were even some people who had secretly joined forces. Among them, there were people who charged towards Lin Xian and Yen Ryu. The leader was a woman wearing a red robe embroidered with 2 mysterious patterns. She was a genius of the Vermilion Bird Palace. Her identity was very extraordinary. She was the Holy Maiden of the Vermilion Bird Palace. At this moment, there were 5 rays of light on her body. It was very eye-catching. Behind her, there were actually 5 people following 5 powerhouses. The weakest had 3 laws. The strong one was the same as her, with 5 laws. The remaining 3 people all had 4 laws. The 5 people were very powerful. At this moment, they were actually working together. Inside the valley, the others retreated like madmen, not daring to approach. They knew that a huge hunt was about to begin. The people outside the valley also saw this scene. They couldn't see clearly, but they could see the 5 colorful figures quickly surrounding the other 2 people. He wondered who it was that was able to gather 5 experts. I was curious. Who are those two people? I'm afraid he's going to suffer. Looking at the glow on his body, he was definitely a top-notch expert. Unfortunately, 2 against 6, there was no chance of winning. At this moment, Lin Xian was comprehending the law of water. Yan Ruyu frowned. She naturally saw the 6 figures rushing over. They were here to deal with both of them. She frowned. If she was alone, she could leave calmly, but not now. She had to protect Lin Xian. If these people attacked the palace and caused a commotion, Lin Xian would be affected. It was very likely that he would go berserk, which was very dangerous. It seemed like they could only fight. A sharp light appeared in Yan Ruyu's eyes, as if he had made some kind of decision. At the same time, 6 figures arrived before him. It's you? When the 6 people appeared, many of them exclaimed. They recognized Yan Ruyu at a glance. They didn't expect it to be Yan Ruyu here. Then, who was the other person? There was no one around. It was obvious that someone had entered the palace to comprehend. Who was with Yan Ruyu? Was it the North Demon? They knew that Yan Ruyu and the North Demon knew each other, and were in the same world. Therefore, it was very likely that they had joined forces. The North Demon was very strong, but if the 6 of us joined forces, we wouldn't be afraid of him. A few of them spoke. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden, who was the leader, also laughed. Her sister was so beautiful. It wouldn't be good if such a peerless beauty was injured. Hand over the 5 laws on you, and we'll let you live. However, you don't have to care about the one inside. The others were silent. They were all experts, but it was obvious that they were led by the Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden. You want the laws on me, and now you want to attack my companion? Do you have the right? Yan Ruyu's expression was calm, but his words were filled with disdain. You're courting death, although you're strong and ranked above Zhao Wuliang. So what? The 6 of us are all top geniuses. It seems that you don't know a few of us. Let me introduce you. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden's eyes were cold. It was obvious that she wanted to use the names of the people behind her to scare the other party away. I don't need to say anything. The one beside me, Lu Mu, is ranked 9th on the Abyss list. This one, Bei Sansheng, is ranked 12th on the Abyss list. I think you should know the 2 of them. As for the other 3, although they weren't on the Abyss list, they were definitely not weak. This one, Ming Wang Dong, is a top genius of the Nether King clan. This one, Sima Su, is one of the half-saints of the Sima clan. This one, Wu Ying, is also a top expert of the Anya clan. If we fight alone, the 6 of us might not be your match. However, if the 6 of us join forces, can you block us? How many attacks can you block? The Vermilion Bird, Holy Maiden said. Therefore, I advise you not to waste your energy. Is that so? If Yan Nantian, Long Batian, Cloud Sky Saint, and the others join forces, I might retreat. However, you guys, I'm afraid you're not qualified. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the 6 people in front all sank. Indeed, compared to Yan Nantian, Cloud Sky Saint, and the others, they were indeed much weaker. If those people were in the first echelon, then they were undoubtedly in the second echelon. It could even be said that they were close to the first echelon. If the 6 of them joined forces, even Yan Nantian wouldn't dare to be careless. No matter how strong Yan Ryu was, could she be compared to Yan Nantian? Holy Maiden, it seems that this little girl doesn't know life from death. In that case, let's directly attack. Bei Sansheng's eyes bloomed with a touch of a biting cold light. All right, then everyone would like to see what kind of ability Fairy Yan has. There's no need for all of us to attack. Just the 3 of us are enough. Bei Sansheng stood out, and Lu Mu also slashed out. The other one was Ming Wang Dong. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, a terrifying power rushed out from their bodies. Bei Sansheng took a step forward, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. The law behind him also danced quickly. He took out a flute and started to play. A sorrowful aura filled the air, filled with despair. This wasn't an ordinary song, but a peerless magical power called the Great Compassion Mantra. Anyone who listened to it without a firm mind would immediately commit suicide. The Great Compassion Mantra was very famous. It was said that 3,000 years ago, there was once a person who used the Great Compassion Mantra, causing a dozen half-saints to commit suicide instantly. This battle record had spread across many worlds. At this moment, combined with the 3 laws on Bei Sanqing's body, it was really terrifying. Chapter 33:11. Lu Mu also made his move. He held a long spear and stabbed it forward. The spear was surrounded by the power of 4 laws. The last one was Ming Wang Dong. He waved his hand, and countless pieces of ice appeared. A terrifying world of ice instantly enveloped the area in front of him. The 3 of them attacked with shocking power. Behind them, the vermilion bird saintess and the other 2 sneered when they saw this. Perhaps they didn't even need to do anything to get rid of Yenryu. A cold light appeared in Yenryu's eyes. Her hand was extremely white and emitted a dazzling light. 5 laws surrounded her fingertips as she slapped forward. The palm technique was light as a feather, but the void was constantly collapsing. This palm had actually blocked the attacks of the 3 of them. Not only that, but it also forced the 3 of them back. How was this possible? Lu Mu and the other 2 retreated, their faces full of shock. Was the opponent so strong? The vermilion bird saintess and the others frowned. It seemed that they had underestimated her. The 3 of them should also attack. The other 2 beside them nodded their heads. At this moment, 6 people stood out. The 6 of them attacked together and used their super skills. They were much stronger than before. In their opinion, they could even fight against the Cloud Sky Saint, not to mention Yenryu. Boom. Yenryu didn't use any other techniques. Her white palm still emitted a whiter light. The 5 laws on it kept dancing, forming a divine chain of order. It wrapped around her jade-like fingers and slapped forward. An earth-shattering sound was heard. Yenryu was forced back. However, she didn't seem to be injured. How was this possible? She wasn't injured. The vermilion bird saintess and the others were shocked. This woman was too strange. Hurry up and attack. The 6 of them rushed forward and fought with Yenryu, 1 against 6. This was definitely a one-sided battle. Yenryu was indeed suppressed and was at a disadvantage. However, she was very strong. Even if she was at a disadvantage, she wasn't seriously injured. Put in more effort and take her down. Someone shouted coldly. The vermilion bird saintess's eyes were filled with malice. She wanted to take this opportunity to kill Yenryu. She was too terrifying. She was a huge threat to her. 6 terrifying super skills again. Yenryu was forced back again. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. She frowned and wanted to use that thing in her body. A terrifying and mysterious power gushed out from her body. Heaven and earth shook, and the faces of the vermilion bird saintess and the others changed. Could it be that the other party is going to open some kind of treasure? Thinking of this, their eyes were filled with killing intent. It seemed that they would have to use their secret techniques or take out their half-saint tools to kill the other party. However, at that moment, an explosion sounded from the palace behind them. Then a figure walked out. The people inside were coming out. The vermilion bird saintess and the others were stunned. Even Yenryu was stunned. This was much earlier than she had imagined. It wasn't the North Demon. They were stunned. They discovered that the person walking out from the front was extremely hazy. They couldn't see clearly at all. Who exactly was it? But clearly it wasn't the North Demon. They knew the Northern Yao, but this person was clearly different. Yen Ryu wasn't with North Demon. Who was she with? They were curious and puzzled. Yen Ryu asked, "Why did you come out? Could it be that the battle here alarmed you?" "Don't worry, I can handle 6 people." Lin Xian shook his head. He had finished comprehending, so he came out. He didn't expect to see the battle outside. 6 against 1? Lin Xian's face darkened, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Although the 6 of them weren't as terrifying as Yan Nantian, they were still a force to be reckoned with if they worked together. Even Long Zhaotian and the others would have a headache if they saw them alone. With such strength, they could probably fight against a saint for a few moves. "Let's work together," Yen Ryu said. However, Lin Xian shook his head. "You should rest for a while. Let me handle them." He stood out and didn't intend to work together with Yen Ryu. It seemed that he wanted to fight the 6 experts alone. What? He wants to fight alone, but he wants to give us a handicap. The 6 people in front were also stunned. Among them, Bei Sansheng and the others sneered. The Vermilion Bird Saintess sneered. Where did this idiot come from? However, what surprised them was that Yen Ryu actually retreated, as if he wasn't worried at all. Their hearts skipped a beat. Who is this person? Is he also a terrifying existence? But I don't know such a mysterious person. Come, let me see what you 6 shameless people are capable of. How dare you work together to bully my companions? He stepped out, and a domineering aura rose from his body. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others frowned. This person has such a terrifying aura. He's probably not a simple person. But so what? With the 6 of them working together, no matter how strong he is, they would still dare to fight against him. However, Lu Mu's eyelids twitched, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. This scene reminded him of someone. "I withdraw from this battle," Lu Mu said. "What?" The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were stunned. Bei Sansheng said, "Lu Mu, what are you doing? Are you afraid?" "No, I just don't want to fight anymore. It's meaningless. I'm going to explore other places." Lu Mu turned and left. The Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others were stunned. Did Lu Mu recognize him? But who is he? Who can make Lu Mu leave? You want to leave? Did I allow you to leave? Lin Xian snorted. He didn't know if Lu Mu recognized him, but he didn't plan to stop. Lu Mu was stunned. He frowned and said, "It was my fault for attacking you." He forcibly extracted the 4 nomological laws from his body and returned them to Lin Xian and Yen Ryu. "I don't want to be your enemy." This scene stunned the Vermilion Bird Saintess and the others. Heavens, what's going on? Lu Mu pulled out 2 laws? Is he begging for mercy? They couldn't believe it. After all, this was Lu Mu. Although he was only ranked 9th on the Abyss list, it was rumored that he had fought with Yan Nantian when he fell into the Abyss. At that time, Yan Nantian had just finished the test and fought with Lu Mu. Both of them were tied. After that, Yan Nantian's strength improved by leaps and bounds, reaching an unbelievable level. However, one could imagine that Lu Mu was also very terrifying. Even if such a person couldn't be compared to Yan Nantian, he wasn't far off. But now, Lu Mu was begging for mercy. He was begging for mercy to a mysterious stranger. Then, who is this mysterious person? Chapter 33:12. They even suspected that it was Yan Nantian. Fine, I'll spare your life. Lin Xian took the 4 laws and gave them to Yen Ryu. However, since you hurt my woman, you'll have to take one of my palms. He struck out with his palm. Boom. Lu Mu was hit and flew out while vomiting blood. His body cracked and disappeared in the air. Yen Ryu felt warmth in her heart. The Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others were stunned. However, they were awakened by Lin Xian's cold killing intent. Damn it, let's kill him together. The vermilion bird, Holy Maiden's face darkened, although Lu Mu had left and his actions had shocked them. However, they did not think that the person in front of them was worthy of their fear. The 5 of them could still take him down if they worked together. Therefore, the 5 of them attacked crazily. Their auras instantly rose. Hee, I'd like to see what qualifications you have to scare Bei, sanching away. Sima sneered and walked out. His palm was glowing like a heavenly blade. With a boom, he slashed forward. It directly shattered the void. He was also an expert, and did not think that Lu Mu was weak. Now that Lu Mu had escaped, he felt humiliated. Therefore, he had to quickly finish off the person in front of him. Looking at Sima Su, Lin Xian's expression was cold. A terrifying flame bloomed from his body and soared into the sky. In the next moment, he threw out a punch. Boom! The law blade was shattered by a punch. Sima Su was stunned. He did not expect the opponent's physique to be so terrifying. Buzz! Lin Xian's big hand grabbed Sima Su and pulled with force. A miserable cry rang out. Sisa's body was actually torn into 2 halves. Since you're not begging for mercy, then die. Lin Xian's cold voice rang out. He could let Lu Mu live, but it did not mean that he could let the others go. Sima Su screamed like a madman, causing the people behind him to be even more shocked. Not good. This person is terrifying. Let's work together. The vermilion bird, Holy Maiden, and the others did not dare to be careless and attacked crazily. Lin Xian was also enraged. He took a step forward, and the flames on his body burned fiercely, turning into a sea of fire that spread out. On his body, there was the image of a flame giant. It raised its head and roared. Flaming sword Qi flew out from the giant and slashed forward. In the blink of an eye, the remaining 5 members of the vermilion bird were completely separated. Not good. These 5 people's faces changed. Originally, they had planned to attack together, but they did not expect the other party to be so strong. The sword Qi made their hairs stand on end. They could only attack crazily, shattering the sword Qi first before converging. However, Lin Xian didn't give them a chance. After separating the 5 of them with the sword Qi, he made his move. Using Dragon Step, he quickly charged towards Sorrow 3 Lives. This person was previously injured, and his strength was the weakest among the 5. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be dealt with first. In an instant, he appeared in front of Sorrow 3 Lives. Not good. Bei Sansheng's expression changed, and then he became angry. What was the meaning of this? Underestimating him? This was too much. Sorrow 3 Lives immediately used the Great Compassion mantra, and a strange sound came out of her mouth. The world was incomparably desolate, as if it wanted to make people commit suicide. What a strange melody. Lin Xian frowned after hearing it. After listening to it too much, one would definitely lose their will. Immediately, he shouted coldly. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and a dragon-shaped sword Qi enveloped him. It completely isolated him from the Great Compassion mantra. At the same time, his palm slapped down. Boom! The world-destroying demonic disc directly smashed Sorrow 3 Lives into pieces. The other party wanted to escape, but Lin Xian's sword pierced through his soul. With a scream, Sorrow 3 Lives' soul was destroyed. Before he died, he finally knew why Lu Mu wanted to escape. The other party was too strong. Damn it, is Sorrow 3 Lives dead? The vermilion bird Holy Maiden and the others were horrified. They could not feel the other party's aura. What was going on? Winter night. At this moment, Ming Wang Dong roared. He formed a seal with his palms and opened his mouth to spit out a storm. The terrifying laws of wind danced and froze everything. The flaming sword Qi was frozen, and the monstrous sea of fire was extinguished. In the next moment, they saw Sorrow 3 Lives' corpse being torn into pieces. His soul had been destroyed. Dead. Was he really dead? Their scalps went numb, and they attacked crazily. This time, the 4 of them were very fast. They finally joined forces and launched a terrifying attack. Facing the 4 of them, Lin Xian did not dodge at all. He did not retreat either. Instead, he took a step forward. His powerful physique crushed the void and cracked the earth. 2 fire dragons flew out from his palms as he stretched out both of his palms. Roar! The dragon's roar resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The 2 fire dragons circled incomparably and knocked away the 4's divine abilities. The 4 of them flew backward and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were filled with fear. How was this possible? The other party had injured the 4 of them by himself. Who was this person? What kind of physique was this? Who were you? Who exactly were you? Why? Do you really want to know who I am? Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms. A formation flew out from his body and enveloped the area. In the next moment, the flames on his face disappeared, revealing his true appearance. Not only that, but the flames on his body also changed. They were no longer fiery red, but golden. A golden body appeared in front of everyone. These flames, his face, this aura, this was the successor of the 9 sons. At this moment, the vermilion bird Holy Maiden and the others heard a voice in their hearts. This was the appearance of the 9 sons' divine physique that they had seen before. Impossible. The successor of the 9 sons was already dead. How could he appear here? Who exactly were you? Who told you that I was dead? Did you see it with your own eyes? Lin Xian sneered. His body swayed, and he instantly appeared in front of Ming Wangdong. He slapped out with his golden hand. Ming Wangdong was scared out of his wits. Ice wings appeared on his back, and ice armor appeared on his body. An ice scepter appeared in his hand. With a wave of the scepter, a huge ice wall formed in front of him. The law of ice danced. It was used to resist Lin Xian's fist. With a loud bang, a huge tremor sounded. Cracks appeared on the ice wall, and it collapsed. Ming Wangdong was also sent flying by the huge force. He spat out a mouthful of blood. However, at this moment, he made use of the ice on the ground and in the sky to form a new divine ability, Ice Seal. The space in front of him was completely frozen, forming an ice crystal world. Lin Xian's body was also frozen. Seeing this, Ming Wangdong smiled. He didn't care about wiping the blood on his body. He shouted coldly, "Break for me!" Cracking sounds could be heard. Everything in the ice crystal world was shattered. This kind of great divine ability was too terrifying. Everything that was sealed in ice was turned into ashes with this sound. The space around Lin Xian was shattered. His body was also affected by the divine ability, causing his body to shake violently. However, the shaking soon calmed down. Everything in front of him was shattered, but Lin Xian wasn't injured. Chapter 33:13. How could this be? Ming Wangdong was stunned. How could Lin Fan be unscathed under his divine ability? The others were also stunned. They knew about the Ice Seal divine ability. They had even seen it with their own eyes. Ming Wangdong had frozen 3 half-sages. When the Ice Seal world shattered, the 3 half-sages were also torn apart. Even their souls were destroyed. But now, such a terrifying divine ability had lost its effect. Lin Xian's body burned with flames, melting all the ice. He looked ahead and sneered. Divine ability is good, but you're too weak. Let me tell you, how should I use this divine ability? Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul roared, and started to use the divine ability. Lin Xian stomped his foot. Instantly, the earth was covered in flames, forming a golden sea of fire. In an instant, the sea of fire enveloped Ming Wangdong. Ming Wangdong screamed, crazily. The ice armor on his body released an icy aura, trying to resist. But soon he was burned and turned into snow. He melted on the ground and evaporated. Explode. With a cold shout, all the flames in the sea of fire in front of him roared violently and exploded. That power caused everything to turn into ashes. The effect was similar to the ice seal, except that the ice had turned into flames. Damn it! Block it for me! Ming Wangdong roared crazily. 3 ice crystals appeared beside him. The 3 ice crystals were white and formed a triangle to protect him. He wanted to resist the force, but in the next moment, the 3 ice crystals exploded under the force of the flames. Ming Wangdong's body was also torn into pieces. His soul was also shattered in an instant. With another move, Ming Wangdong was destroyed. The remaining 3 people went crazy. They finally believed that the person in front of them was the successor of the 9 sons. Although they didn't know why he was still alive, he was too terrifying. Run! The vermilion bird saintess screamed and fled. She wanted to announce to the world that the successor of the 9 sons was still alive. This was definitely an earth-shattering news. You want to escape? Stay. Lin Xian snorted. He waved his hand, and a black spear appeared. He waved his arm, and 3 terrifying black torrents shot forward. Pung, pung, pung. The vermilion bird saintess and the other 2 stopped in midair. They looked down at their bodies. A black shadow appeared in their hearts. They had been pierced through. They were nailed to death in the void. The great, great spear of destruction. They said these words with great difficulty. Then they tilted their heads and stopped breathing. That's right, the great spear of destruction. The great destruction spear of the great demon fell into the void. For the next 3 years, it was covered by an endless amount of demonic qi. No one dared to get close to it. In the end, he was taken away by Lin Xian. This was a vicious weapon that had been stained with the blood of countless saints. Its power was extremely great. Back then, it had posed a huge threat to Lin Xian. If not for the fact that Lin Xian possessed the great dragon sword soul, it would have been very difficult for him to withstand the great destruction spear. The great spear of destruction could even kill a saint. How could the 3 of them block it? It was settled. Behind him, Yan Ruyu also walked up. She was also incomparably shocked. She didn't expect that his strength had already reached such a level. Right now, your strength is much stronger than when you were fighting against the great demon. I'm really looking forward to seeing Yan Nanshan's expression when he sees you. He will definitely be shocked. Lin Xian said. However, I'm looking forward to fighting with him. I want to see how strong the successor of a great emperor is. Let's go. Lin Xian obtained the chains of law from these people and flew to the next palace. At the same time, outside the Demon Cultivation Valley, the Vermilion Bird Palace elders' faces changed. In the next moment, they roared at the sky. No, damn it, who was it? Who dared to kill the Vermilion Bird Palace saintess? They roared crazily. The surrounding people were all stunned. What's going on? Was the Vermilion Bird saintess killed? Heavens! Who did it? Was it the Cloud Sky Saint or Long Zhaotian? They didn't know, but they could see that the 6 figures of law in the valley below had disappeared. It was those 2 people. It shouldn't be 2 against 6, and they were still completely annihilated. It was too shocking. Wait, one of them had escaped, and the other was still alive. They had to find out who did it. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders roared crazily. The elders trembled. They had no choice but to enter the valley below. One of them had already started to move. His body flashed, and light filled the sky as he charged down. However, he was quickly pushed back by an aura. Once the demon cultivation valley opened, it would become a world of its own. In less than a month's time, those outside couldn't enter. They would either be killed or thrown out. Other than that, there was no other choice. Damn it, this is too damn it. The Vermilion Bird Palace elders were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Originally, they wanted to use the Demon Cultivation Valley to restrict others, but now they were the unlucky ones. In the valley, a figure quickly flew out with a shield. Everywhere he passed, countless trees grew, bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were like demons, completely blocking the path and space. However, very quickly, a terrifying vibration came from behind. The ground split open, and a biting cold saber light shone, cutting all the trees to pieces. The figures behind him were extremely fast. At the same time, a roar rang out. Northern Devil, you can't escape. The person running in front was the Northern Devil. At this moment, his face was gloomy, and his body was surrounded by the law of wood. The surrounding trees all seemed to listen to his orders. He began to attack. However, the people chasing after him were simply too powerful. Even he was unable to withstand them. That was because the one chasing him was a man covered in scales with boundless strength, Long Zhaotian. The other person was covered in white light, like a celestial being, Zhao Wuliang. The last one was abnormally ferocious. He had 9 heads, and each of them was extraordinarily mighty. He was a prodigy of the 9-headed lion race. He didn't seem any weaker than Zhao Wuliang. The other person was riding the waves, revealing a ferocious shark head. Fish scales flickered on his body, and his eyes released a biting cold light. He was Black Shark of the Shark King race. 4 top experts surrounded the Northern Devil. If it was a one-on-one fight, the Northern Devil could definitely fight against any one of them. But now, there were 4 of them against one. He wasn't a match at all. He could only run for his life. Fortunately, he had the 10,000 devil body, and he was also a wood martial artist. His vitality was strong, and he could control the surrounding plants. Otherwise, he would have been killed many times over. Even so, he wasn't a match for them. If he couldn't escape, then it was only a matter of time before he was killed. Damn it, he really deserved to die. The Northern Devil's face was gloomy. Why were these people gathered together? Chapter 33:14. Indeed, if anyone else was here, they would be shocked, because they couldn't believe it. Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian, as well as 2 top experts, would team up. It was beyond everyone's expectations. You can't escape, roaming dragon. Long Zhaotian roared. The dragon blood in his body surged, and a dragon shadow rushed out. This power was too strong. Nothing could stop it. 10,000 trees descend. Feeling the terrifying power behind him, the Northern Demon flew, while using his mystique. A sky-piercing divine tree appeared in the sky and quickly descended, blocking his path. It blocked Roaming Dragon. There was a loud explosion, but at this time, the other 3 attacked. Black Shark rushed forward with seawater, forming a whirlpool. Did he want to swallow the sky-piercing divine tree? The 9-headed lion's 9 heads roared. The roar shook the world and affected people's souls. The Northern Demon was affected. His body trembled, and he slowed down. Zhao Wuliang took the chance and slashed. The Flower Addict's 33 blade slashes were sharp enough to destroy a level of heaven. Boom, boom, boom. The Northern Demon spat out blood and flew back. There were many cracks on his body, but his 10,000 demon body quickly healed. He gritted his teeth and flew again. However, this was the 5th time he healed. His power and aura had decreased too much. If he couldn't shake these people off, his life would be in danger. I said, "You can't escape." Long Zhaotian's group quickly chased after him. The reason why the four of them had joined hands was so that they could sweep through everything. They wanted to eliminate the other people who were a threat to them. 3 days later, the North Demon stopped because he was stopped by someone. Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang the nine-headed lion, and Black Shark surrounded him. Escape? Let's see how you can escape this time. The four of them teamed up, the laws on their bodies intertwined, forming a domain that covered the sky. The Northern Demon's expression became ugly. It seemed that he could only fight to the death. He waved his hand, and the laws of wood floated. Countless trees around him grew wildly. A sky-piercing divine tree appeared behind him again. The 10,000 trees flower bloomed. 7 flowers formation. The green nocturnal battle armor appeared on the Northern Demon's body. The heaven-reaching divine tree on his back began to bloom, forming a terrifying flower. Countless flower petals floated around them, forming a terrifying formation that absorbed the power of the four people. Humph! Long Zhaotian shouted coldly. Dragon fighting in the wild, a giant dragon phantom appeared on his body. It roared and rushed forward, able to destroy everything. The world's 8 blades. Zhao Wuliang brandished his long saber. The piercingly cold saber light soared into the sky. Lion roar divine skill. The 9-headed lion king let out a roar, and terrifying divine fire surged forward. Black Shark blended into the void and carried out the assassination. The 7 flowers formation was instantly shattered by the attacks of the 4 top experts. The sky-reaching divine tree behind them also emitted a rumbling sound. Many cracks appeared on the divine tree, but the huge divine flower still hung down, scattering its pollen forward. The pollen was extremely poisonous. Long Zhaotian and the other 3's faces changed as they hurriedly defended themselves. However, the attacks from the 4 of them caused the petals to tremble repeatedly. Many cracks appeared on the Northern Demon's body. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but he could still hold on. However, at that moment, a shadow appeared behind him. A person held a shadow dagger and slashed at his head. With a splurt, blood spurted out. The Northern Demon was scared, out of his wits. He used all his strength to dodge. However, his neck was still cut in half, just a little bit more, and his head would have been sent flying. A large crack appeared on the azure nocturnal armor, the myriad with divine vine. The Northern Demon roared angrily, and his myriad demon body began to heal. At the same time, he counterattacked. The branches of the myriad demon tree drooped down and turned into 2 divine whips that lashed out behind him. The void was shattered in an instant. Clang! Black Shark raised the shadow dagger in his hand to block, but he was sent flying by a force. However, it seemed that he was not seriously injured. After that attack, Black Shark was slightly injured, and the other 3 were forced back. However, the Northern Demon was seriously injured, and his head was almost cut off. Seeing that, Zhao Wuliang and the others sneered. The Northern Demon would definitely die today. They estimated that they would be able to kill him in less than 5 moves. As expected in the second move, the Northern Demon was even more seriously injured. A large crack appeared on half of his body, and he was almost cut in half. In the third move, the Northern Demon was cut in half. He healed again, and his face was even paler. Let's see how many more times you can survive. The 4 of them attacked again. The battle was extremely terrifying, and the surrounding people all fled. At the same time, the 2 figures quickly flew over. Actually, they had sensed a few powerful forces a long time ago. They quickly flew over with their shields. It was obvious. This was a huge battle, and there were several forces involved. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. One of them was very familiar to Lin Xian. He could even see a huge tree flashing in the distance, and its terrifying phantom covered the void. The heavenly tree was the Northern Demon's mystique. What was going on? Was the northern demon being chased? Let's go and take a look. Yen Ryu also frowned. She and Lin Xian quickly flew forward. When they arrived nearby, Lin Xian used his soul to capture the situation in front of him. His expression immediately changed. It was a siege again, and it was very similar to the scene he encountered before. But there was a difference. Previously, the Vermilion Bird Holy Maiden and the others were considered to be on the second level. But now, the ones attacking the Northern Demon were Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the others. They were definitely the top prodigies on the first level. Damn it. Lin Xian was instantly enraged. He realized that the Northern Demon situation was very bad. Attack. Lin Xian shouted coldly and sent out a vermilion bird. It rushed down. Yen Ryu stretched out her white palm and pressed down. A black hole appeared in the void and kept shattering. Boom, boom. Below, Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the others smiled sinisterly. He died. They could tell that the Northern Demon was about to die. They estimated that they could kill him in 2 more moves. But at that moment, their expressions changed. 2 terrifying attacks surged towards them. Scram. The 4 of them turned around and roared crazily. They attacked with their mystiques and collided with the 2 attacks. The sky was torn apart, and violent energy surged. The Northern Demon retreated, and so did Long Zhaotian and the others. Who dares to interfere in our business? Their gazes swept across the area. Soon, they saw 2 figures descending from the sky. Yen Ryu, it's you? Long Zhaotian, and the others recognized Yen Ryu first, but the other person made them frown. They couldn't see his face clearly. 4 against 1. You're really shameless. Yen Ryu snorted coldly. On the other side, Lin Xian had already begun to check on the Northern Demon's injuries. He frowned. Chapter 33:15. He was heavily injured, but fortunately he came in time. Any later, and the Northern Demon's life would have been in danger. They're very strong, the Northern Demon said. He did not recognize Lin Xian at first. Hurry up and leave. He did not look like he wanted to fight. After all, he was heavily injured. Although there were 2 of them, the other side still had the advantage. Don't worry, rest well. Leave this to me. Lin Xian patted the Northern Demon's shoulder and injected some energy into him. Then he took out a bottle of pills and handed it to him. Then he walked over and stood beside Yen Ryu. Leave Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang to me. You have no problems with the other 2, right? No. Yen Ryu shook her head. Her eyes were cold. It was obvious that this peerless beauty was angry. On the other side, Long Zhaotian, Zhao Wuliang, and the other 3 were stunned. What did they just hear? These 2 wanted to fight the 4 of them 1-on-2? What a joke. The 4 of them sneered. They were the top elites. They were not afraid of anyone in a 1-on-1 fight. Now that it was 2 against 1, they could easily kill the other party. One had to know that the 4 of them had chased after the Northern Demon, just as a precaution. If they really fought, the 2 of them could kill the other party. Although these 2 were strong, they were probably only on par with the Northern Demon. Since there were still people who did not know their limits, they would kill them together. Zhao Wuliang sneered. Long Zhaotian and the other 2 nodded. Indeed, their goal this time was to eliminate the strong enemies. The Northern Demon was one of them. Yen Ryu was also their target. As for the last mysterious person, although they did not know him, they would kill him together. You want to get rid of me? Let's see if you have the ability. Lin Xian took a step forward. Flames erupted from his body. However, it was no longer gold or fiery red. It was pitch black. The ink-black flames burned fiercely. Lin Xian did not intend to reveal his true identity right now. Therefore, he used the great dragon sword soul to directly transform her flames. At this moment, he was like a demon king looking down on everyone. Lin Xian and the great demon had fought for half a year. He was very familiar with his opponent's mystiques. If he used the dragon sword soul to manifest them, they would not be any weaker than the great demons. What a terrifying demonic chi! Long Zhaotian and the rest frowned. Who was this person? Were they from the demon race? However, before they could think any further, a large black hand rushed over, carrying with it a torrential hellfire. Immediately, he formed a demonic disk that could destroy the world and struck out. The terrifying power shattered the void in front of him completely. That power enveloped Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang, courting death. The two of them were enraged. The other party really dared to fight the two of them alone. What a joke. Get lost. Long Zhaotian was the first to get angry. He was a powerhouse of the dragon clan. He didn't even put Yan Nantian in his eyes, let alone this person in front of him. The scales on his body emitted an incomparably terrifying light. He punched out with a fist that was like a giant dragon streaking across the sky. Boom! The terrifying dragon collided with the world-destroying demonic plate, causing the heavens and earth to shatter. However, Long Zhaotian let out a muffled groan as cracks appeared on his fist. Bang, bang, bang. He took 3 steps back and withdrew his fist. His eyes were filled with shock. His opponent had actually injured him. How was this possible? Damn it, who the hell are you? The person who will kill you. Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a cold light. The black flames on his body danced. At this moment, he was truly arrogant to the extreme. Courting death, Long Zhaotian was furious. Roaming dragon's body bloomed with light and formed an eagle that charged forward. It formed a peerless, immortal light. Lin Xian laughed, not afraid at all. The large black hand drew a circle in the air and instantly turned into a black hole. It swallowed the giant dragon. At the same time, his left hand struck out like a black sun and charged toward Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang frowned, pulled out his long saber, and slashed out. On the long saber, there was terrifying lightning. That was the law of lightning, and it had the power to destroy everything. The saber collided with the black fist, causing an earth-shattering sound. The black fist was repelled, but it instantly turned into a palm and directly broke the lightning saber in half. The terrifying power caused Zhao Wuliang to retreat a few steps. His face was gloomy. On the other side, Long Zhaotian was also repelled by the other party. The 9-headed Lion King and He Sha were stunned. The other party really did it. With the power of one person, he repelled Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang. Who was this person? Could it be another kind of hidden saint? Ha 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 ha! You just SOL. Unable to withstand a single blow, Lin Xian laughed and stepped forward. The black flames on his body covered the entire sky. Demon swallows the world. The flames turned into black holes, one after another, enveloping Long Zhaotian and He Sha. At the same time, the 9-headed Lion King and Shadowless were also enveloped. Courting death, the 4 of them were completely enraged. Did the other party still want to attack the other 2? They charged forward in a frenzy. Yan Ruyu was also stunned when she saw this scene. Then she shook her head slightly. This guy is really arrogant. He wants to fight 4 of us alone. Fine, I'll just watch. Originally, Yan Ruyu still wanted to use some trump cards, but now it seemed that she was not needed. If there was really danger, it would not be too late for her to make a move. Therefore, she came to the Northern Demon. The Northern Demon's recovery was terrifying. Therefore, his injuries were already healed. However, his strength had not recovered yet. He swallowed a pill and looked in front of him. The scene was extremely shocking. Who was this person? He could actually fight 4 of them alone. One had to know that he was being chased by 4 people and was almost killed. Who was this person? The northern demon turned around and asked. Yen Ryu smiled. An old friend. You'll find out after the fight. Old friend? The northern demon was stunned. It seemed that the other party was very close to Yen Ryu and should know him. But who was it? If it was an old friend, they should belong to the same world. But who could be so strong in that world? Yen Nantian was impossible. Then, was it Yi Wudao? He thought of the holy body. He did have such power, but Yi Wudao did not have monstrous demonic qi. Was it Wu Chun or the one from the Gu family? He shook his head. He could not think of it. It was not that he did not think of Lin Xian, but he knew that Lin Xian had the 9-yang divine body. Previously, the news of the 9-yang divine body dying together with the demon had spread throughout the ancient path of stars. He would never have thought that it was Lin Xian. While the northern demon was puzzled, the battle in front of him was unusually intense. It was as if Lin Xian had turned into a demon king at this moment. He attacked without any reservations. The other 4 were furious and roaring. The 4 of them joined forces, but they could only fight to a draw. They could not do anything to the other party. They were going crazy. Chapter 33:16. When did such a terrifying monster appear on the ancient path of the starry sky? Why hadn't they heard of it at all? Moreover, looking at the monstrous demonic aura and the world-destroying millstone, they all thought that the great demon had resurrected. Damn it, he must be related to the great demon. Even if he wasn't a great demon, he must be from the demon race. These people roared crazily. The 2 of you don't hold back anymore. Attack with all your might. Zhao Wuliang said coldly because he realized that although the other party was attacking the 4 of them, he was constantly using killing moves on him. It made him break out in cold sweat. Zhao Wuliang was actually very depressed because not long ago one of his clones was killed and his strength was greatly reduced. If he hadn't paid a huge price recently, his strength wouldn't have been able to recover. This made him gnash his teeth for a while. However, he still couldn't find out who killed his clone. Now, he even encountered a demon-like figure. The recent emergence of powerhouses and geniuses shocked him. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to keep his position, so he roared angrily. He didn't want the others to hold back and kill the other party with all their might. He took the lead. A terrifying aura spread out from his body. The law of thunder rushed into the clouds, forming a thundercloud in the sky. It emitted an extremely terrifying pressure. Boom, boom, boom. In the thundercloud, the law of order revolved and then descended. This was a lightning tribulation, and it struck directly at Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed loudly. The flames on his body danced and turned into a black giant. It was like a demonic sound. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the lightning in the sky. Puff. Then he aimed at Zhao Wuliang and spat out. Endless lightning was spat out by him, and there was also the power of fire on it. It directly enveloped Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang screamed miserably as he was pierced by the lightning. He flew backward, his body charred black, and he was in an abnormally sorry state. Die. However, at this moment, Long Zhaoqian's attack also arrived. His 5 fingers seemed to have turned into 5 divine swords with 5 types of laws on them. They were incomparably dazzling. In an instant, they pierced through the void and directly enveloped Lin Xian. With a puff, he cut open the black flames on Lin Xian's body. He had succeeded. Seeing the scene, Long Zhaotian smiled. The other 3 also heaved a sigh of relief. This attack could definitely pierce through the other party. Next, they would make him suffer a fate worse than death. Clang! An earth-shattering sound rang out, but the faces of Long Zhaotian and the others turned ugly. The reason for that was because they discovered that there was no blood. In other words, although their opponent had been knocked back, his body was not injured. How was this possible? At this moment, their eyes were filled with fear. They couldn't defeat him. They realized that they couldn't defeat him. Roaring divine art. A terrifying sound wave rushed forward, but it was shattered by a slap from the other party. Heisha also silently appeared behind the other party. The shadow dagger in his hand slashed towards the other party's neck. Previously, it was his sneak attack that almost cut off the North Demon's head. But this time, his arm was numb from the impact. He didn't hurt the other party either. This was definitely the body of a saint. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so strong. Black Shark screamed like a madman, wanting to retreat. In an instant, he retreated from Lin Xian's side, but in the next moment he screamed. A pitch-black spear pierced through his body. Ah, Heisha screamed. How could this be? He had already merged with the void long ago. How did the other party find him? Buzz. The spear flashed, and Black Shark's body was torn into pieces. Blood dyed the ground red. A saint. Could it be a saint? At this moment, Zhao Wuliang and the others were about to despair. There was actually a saint, other than Cloud Sky's saint. Were there other saints? Among them, Long Zhaotian looked at the black weapon and screamed in fear. The Spear of Annihilation. Could it be that you're really a great demon? You're not dead. They had seen the recording array of the battle between the Nine Suns' successor and the great demon. So they naturally recognized the pitch-black weapon. Was it the Spear of Annihilation? That was something that only the great demons could possess. Even if the person in front of them wasn't the one who had died, he was probably a new great demon, right? Moreover, they felt that this great demon was even more terrifying than the previous one. What was going on? They didn't know anymore. Lin Xian charged out with the Spear of Annihilation in his hand. A terrifying light tore through the void and charged towards Zhao Wuliang. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. The world's edge 8 blades slashed out with his saber light, but it was pierced through. The Spear of Annihilation knocked away his saber and pierced through his shoulder. He was nailed in the void. That ice-cold killing intent wanted to tear him into pieces. Explode. Zhao Wuliang gritted his teeth. His body split open to escape the attack. Run. They quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. You still want to run? Golden light appeared in his eyes and scattered into the void. Then, the Spear of Annihilation stabbed out. Heisha screamed again. He was hit again. Soul Annihilation. The Spear of Annihilation danced and instantly annihilated his opponent's soul. A dignified, peerless expert was killed so easily just like that. Seeing this scene, the other 3 ran away crazily. Buzz. Lin Xian threw the Spear of Annihilation. It instantly pierced through the 9-headed Lion King's body. The 9-headed Lion King trembled, and its 9 heads roared at the sky. The terrifying roar shook heaven and earth, but this sound wave couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. Lin Xian directly rushed over. His big hand tore through the sound wave that filled the sky and slapped the other party into meat paste. He picked out the other party's soul and pierced it with the Spear of Annihilation. Ah, the 9-headed Lion King's soul let out a sharp cry, but it was carried by Lin Xian and charged towards Zhao Wuliang again. Zhao Wuliang was scared out of his wits. He couldn't dodge the spear anymore. It couldn't be helped. The other party was too strong. When he didn't use the Spear of Annihilation, they weren't his match. Now that he took it out again, how could they resist this peerless, murderous weapon? This was definitely the combat strength of a saint. At this moment, Zhao Wuliang was very decisive. He once again created a clone to die in his place. As for his real body, he burrowed into the ground and used the law of earth to escape. How could Lin Xian let him escape? With one strike, he pierced through the ground and cut off Zhao Wuliang's path. Zhao Wuliang had no choice but to change direction. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. Next, he attacked a few times. This made it so that Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian couldn't escape separately. They could only escape in the direction he chose. Lin Xian chased after them. The great pursuit began again, but this time it was different. Lin Xian was chasing after Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian. Wherever he passed, mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The others also noticed this scene, and their eyeballs almost popped out. Were Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian escaping? Then who was it? Was it Cloud Sky's saint? Heavens, the saint was going to start a massacre. For a moment, they were extremely terrified. Lin Xian didn't kill them directly. He was like a cat playing with a mouse, constantly attacking and chasing after the two of them. The two people in front were terrified and desperate. They were exhausted and felt that death was better than living. Chapter 33:17. At that moment, Lin Xian's voice floated out from behind. Why, are you in despair? When the four of you joined forces to hunt down the North Goblin, did you ever think that you would be hunted down like this one day? If you want to kill others, you have to be prepared to be killed. Lin Xian's mocking voice sounded. In front, everyone's expressions were ugly. Long Zhaotian's lungs were about to explode from anger. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. Wah! He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of dragon blood that turned into a dragon saber. The dragon blood saber slashed down with monstrous killing intent and terrifying power. The sky was dyed red as the saber was split open. Lin Xian sneered and waved the spear of destruction to meet the attack. With a clanging sound, the dragon blood saber was pierced through. Long Zhaotian had another wound and spat out blood as he flew backward. He was truly in despair. He was no match for his opponent at all. Just now, 1/3 of his dragon blood had been sucked away. The dragon blood saber, formed with the secret technique of the dragon race, could destroy everything. It could even threaten a saint. However, it was shattered by his opponent in one strike. It was not that he was too weak, but that the enemy was too strong, especially the spear of destruction. That was a murderous weapon stained with the blood of countless saints. Perhaps only a true sacred artifact could fight against it. Therefore, there was only one thing they could do now, and that was to escape with all their might. If they could escape the first stage, they would be able to save their lives. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days of pursuit. Lin Xian chased them for a total of 7 days. During these 7 days, Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian felt despair and hellish life. Their hair was disheveled, and their eyes were bloodshot. To be honest, for a moment, they even wanted to die just like that. However, very quickly, their hope was ignited because in front of them 7 rays of light flickered. It was a figure with 7 laws. Who was it? It was either Cloud Sky's saint or Yan Nantian. They hurriedly flew in that direction, wanting to kill someone with a borrowed knife. At the very least, they had to block the demon behind them. 7 rays of light? Who was it? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, sneered, and chased after them. Now that he had 5 nomological laws, it was enough. Coupled with the great spear of destruction, what could Cloud Sky's saint do? He could still put up a fight. In front of them, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang sped up again. They passed through several mountain ranges and finally found a figure in front of them. It was Yan Nantian. They were overjoyed and quickly rushed over. That's right, it was indeed Yan Nantian. Yan Nantian relied on the map in his hand and his powerful strength to obtain the 7 laws. It could be said that in the entire Devil Cultivation Valley, he was the person with the most laws. When he saw Zhao Wuliang and Long Zhaotian walking towards him together, Yan Nantian was stunned. Could it be that the two of them wanted to join forces to kill him? The corner of his mouth curled up in disdain. Now, even if the two of them joined forces, he would not be afraid. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. The two of them didn't seem to be here to kill him. Instead, they seemed to be running for their lives. This was because he discovered that their faces were pale, and their eyes were red, their bodies were covered in wounds, and their blood was a ghastly sight. Someone was chasing after these two. Who was it? Yan Nantian was very surprised. Other than him, perhaps only Cloud Sky's Saint could hunt down the two of them. Could it be Cloud Sky's Saint? Was Cloud Sky's Saint finally going to make a move? Yan Nanshan's gaze was solemn. However, he was soon stunned because he discovered that behind Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang was not Cloud Sky's Saint, but a pitch-black figure that looked like a demon. You want to escape? Can you escape? That person let out a cold voice and instantly streaked across the void, charging towards the two of them. He gently waved the weapon in his hand, forming a terrifying light that blasted Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang away. Yan Nantian, this person is also here to kill you. At this moment, Zhao Wuliang hurriedly exclaimed. He wanted to drag Yan Nantian down with him. This was the only way for them to survive. Yan Nantian was stunned. A wisp of aura appeared on his body. He snorted coldly and took a step forward. Although he did not know who this person was, he really wanted to fight him. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly, and the Great Destruction Spear flew out. The target was Yan Nantian. Yan Nanshan's face instantly darkened. The other party actually dared to attack him? An incomparable light erupted from his body. However, in an instant, his expression changed, and he was blasted away. The light on his body quickly shattered. Boom! Yan Nantian landed on a mountain range in the distance and shattered all 5 peaks. What? Yan Nantian can't block it? Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang's faces turned pale when they saw this scene. This person is too powerful, isn't he? The mountain range in the distance shattered, and a figure rushed out. Yan Nanshan's expression was cold, and his eyes were like divine swords that swept across the surroundings. Damn it! Damn it! How dare the other party injure me? This is unforgivable. Yan Nantian, be careful. That person is using the Great Destruction Spear. It's not an ordinary weapon. Long Zhaotian also reminded him. What? The Great Destruction Spear? Yan Nantian was stunned. Isn't that the weapon of the Great Demon? Why does the person in front of me have it? Moreover, the person in front of me has a monstrous demonic qi. Could it be that Demeng isn't dead? What about the successor of the 9 sons? Is he dead? He thought of many things in an instant. Soon he shook his head. Impossible! The great demon is dead. There's no way he's still alive. The aura of the person in front of me is different from the great demon. He's much stronger than before. Could it be that a new great demon has appeared? Damn it! How could this be? His expression was uncertain. At this moment, Lin Xian attacked again. The Great Destruction Spear pierced through the sky and transformed into an endless black dragon. Its monstrous aura tore the void apart and instantly pierced towards Yan Nantian. Humph! So, what if the great demon has revived? I'm not afraid of anyone now. I can even trample on a saint. Yan Nanshan's voice was grand as the aura on his body suddenly erupted. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts quickly circled around him. Buzz! Among them, the vermilion bird phantom opened its mouth and spat out a sky full of raging flames that danced quickly like the sunset. That red light contained a terrifying power that could incinerate all living things. The terrifying blazing fire instantly enveloped the Great Destruction Spear. However, Yan Nantian did not stop. The Great Destruction Spear was a murderous weapon. Its power was naturally terrifying, so he attacked again. After the vermilion bird, the azure dragon also attacked, spitting out waves that filled the sky. The black tortoise was as heavy as a mountain and pressed down like a heavenly eye. The white tiger phantom was even more terrifying. It mainly attacked, turning into a peerless blade that descended from the sky. Its power was simply too strong. It was much more terrifying than Zhao Wuliang's World's Edge 8 blades. Boom! A violent explosion sounded. The Great Destruction Spear was simply too terrifying. At this moment, Lin Xian was using it. Lin Xian's physical strength, coupled with the Great Destruction Spear, was absolutely terrifying. In an instant, it pierced through the sky full of light and raging flames. Frenzied Blade was also sent flying. He had pierced through all the mystiques and was still charging over in a domineering manner. Chapter 33:18. Yan Nanshan's expression changed, and he quickly dodged. On the other side, Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang's scalps went numb. It seemed that even Yan Nantian might not be able to subdue the other party. The two of them had better run. Therefore, the two of them turned around and fled. Where could they run to? Lin Xian waved the Great Destruction Spear and drew an eternal black crack that directly swallowed the two of them. Then he reached out his demonic hand and grabbed the nomological laws on the two of them. With a forceful tug, all 5 nomological laws were removed from their bodies. Miserable screams were heard. The two of them were in excruciating pain. At that moment, the black hand slapped down again and smashed their bodies into pieces. It's over. Are the two of them going to die here? Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang's faces were filled with despair and regret. However, at that moment, Yan Nantian made his move. A red feather appeared in his hand. He gently danced, and a terrifying fire erupted again. This time, the power was even stronger than before. It directly melted the black hand and separated everything. How dare you stop me? Lin Xian turned his head and looked at Yan Nantian with a cold expression. Not only will I stop you, but I'll also kill you. Yan Nantian was also furious. The other party's domineering attitude and powerful strength made him very unhappy and a little uneasy. Such a person had to be dealt with quickly to avoid endless trouble. Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang took advantage of this opportunity to quickly escape with the blood mist wrapped around them. Lin Xian ignored them. Although the two of them were powerful and invincible in the eyes of outsiders, they were no different from ants in his eyes. They posed no threat to him at all. However, Yan Nantian in front of him was not necessarily the same. The other party was the successor of a great emperor and had many tricks up his sleeve. It would not be easy to completely kill him. However, this time was also a good time to find out how strong Yan Nantian had become. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. Lin Xian snorted coldly and fixed the Great Destruction Spear in the void. With a boom, the void within 1,000,000 miles was quickly shattered. It could not withstand this attack at all. No one can stop me. Yan Nantian was also very confident. The fiery red feather in his hand bloomed with an unparalleled brilliance. The vermilion bird divine feather? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could see that the feather was very mysterious and had terrifying Dao runes on it. It should be one of the vermilion bird's treasures. Who would have thought that it would end up in Yan Nanshan's hands? Looks like the Vermilion Bird Palace truly valued Yan Nantian to the extreme. The vermilion bird divine feather waved, and suddenly the entire world trembled. Flames danced about, turning into an enormous vermilion bird. It soared into the sky, spreading its wings and covering heaven and earth. This scene was simply too terrifying. Everyone in the Devil Cultivation Valley saw this scene. They raised their heads and looked at the sky, feeling incomparably terrified. Who was it? Was it Yen Nantian? The gigantic vermilion bird also had the law of fire. It instantly enveloped Lin Xian. That unparalleled power could suppress everything. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. The black flames on his body also burned fiercely. At this moment, he fully released his 9 young divine body. Like a black god of war, the great destruction spear in his hand danced wildly. Boom, 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 boom. Countless lightning bolts surrounded the sky. The great destruction spear carried with it a terrifying law of fire. In the blink of an eye, it turned into an enormous black dragon and collided with the vermilion bird's phantom. The two behemoths were crazily fighting. Their power spread all over the place. Even the people outside the Devil Cultivation Valley were stunned. They naturally felt the terrifying aura. Who was fighting? Was it Yen Nantian and Cloud Sky Saint? No, why do I feel a monstrous demonic aura? Could it be a demonic creature that originally existed in the valley? They were all stunned. The people of the Vermilion Bird Palace also had serious expressions because they felt the aura of the Vermilion Bird divine feather. It was obvious that one of them was Yen Nantian. But who was the other person? They didn't know. The battle was extremely intense. The two exchanged more than 100 blows. The Vermilion Bird phantom was torn apart, and Lin Xian was incomparably powerful. He charged over with the great destruction spear. He was too powerful. The void around Yen Nantian quickly shattered. Yen Nantian had no choice but to form a hand seal and enlarge the Vermilion Bird divine feather in his hand. It was like a wall of fire blocking in front of him. With a clang, the great destruction spear collided with the Vermilion Bird divine feather, making a shocking sound. That sound wave was simply too terrifying. Everything in the surroundings was quickly reduced to ashes by the sound wave. Even Yen Nantian's body trembled violently. Many cracks appeared on his body. He roared angrily. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts on his body instantly enveloped him. The cracks on his body quickly healed. He raised his head and looked forward. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. Damn it, his opponent seemed to be fine. Under such a powerful sound wave, his opponent's body didn't crack? What kind of physique was that? A supreme demonic physique? How could it be so strong? Although he didn't have a bloodline physique, he had a great inheritance. After the inheritance, he cultivated the great emperor physique, which was also incomparably powerful. However, at that moment, in front of the sound wave, his physique cracked, but his opponent was unscathed. There were only 2 possibilities. First, his opponent's physique far surpassed his of the same level. Second, his opponent's physique surpassed his in terms of realm. That was the physique of a sage. Could it be that his opponent was really a sage? Was there another hidden sage other than the Cloud Sky Sage? Yen Nantian's face was a little ugly. However, he soon snorted. So what if he was a sage? This was a world of its own. He had 7 nomological laws. Even if he was a sage, he could still kill him. Sun and moon splitting the sky. Yen Nantian roared angrily. The power on his body suddenly transformed into the sun and moon. They kept spinning above his head. The 2 powers seemed to be able to split the sky and earth. The sun and moon splitting the sky was a kind of great magical power that caused the world to fantasize. Yen Nantian used this magical power to attack Lin Xian. Chaotic Demon Fist. Lin Xian held the great destruction spear in one hand and kept waving his other fist, throwing out countless fist shadows. Each of them was like a black sun that collided with the sun and moon. Boom, 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 Lin Xian's 9-yang divine physique was definitely not inferior to a sage's physique. His power was terrifying. Coupled with the black phantoms that he deliberately created, it was really terrifying to the extreme. For a moment, the two were in a stalemate. Lin Xian was surprised, as expected of the great emperor's successor. Interesting. One had to know that Long Zhaotian and Zhao Wuliang couldn't resist his punch at all. However, his opponent could actually block it. Moreover, it looked like he was handling it with ease. One had to admit that the great emperor's magical power was indeed terrifying. He could actually resist a sage's physique. Chapter 33:19. But thinking about it, a great emperor was a super existence that could suppress the universe. Every great emperor was the most powerful and terrifying expert in the world. How could his inheritance be weak? Yan Nantian was also shocked. The inheritance of a great emperor was so terrifying that he had never failed. Especially in recent years, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds, reaching an unbelievable level. He was confident that he could kill even a saint, but now he couldn't do anything to his opponent. What kind of power did his opponent have? An apocalyptic strike. At this moment, Lin Xian attacked again. This time, he used the Great Spear of Destruction. The demonic aura on it surged into the sky, transforming into a millstone of destruction. This was also a great demon's ability. When Lin Xian had used it previously, he had beaten Long Zhaotian and Yan Nantian until they screamed in pain. But now, he had used the power of the Great Spear of Destruction to evolve it. Its power was definitely more terrifying than before. Sure enough, the Great Spear of Destruction fell with the phantom of the apocalyptic demonic millstone. With a boom, it sent the sun and moon splitting open the sky flying. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. However, there were 3 figures hiding in the dark, secretly observing. These 3 people were not together. Instead, they were standing in 3 different directions and were on guard against each other. The auras of the 3 of them were incomparably hazy, but they were also very powerful. They didn't care about the energy storm at all. The laws on their bodies flickered with incomparable light, forming vortexes one after another. Yan Nantian was indeed the successor of a great emperor. He was so powerful. But who was the person holding the Great Spear of Destruction? A saint's body. Could it be that he was the same as us and had his saint's clone forcefully taken away? The last person only narrowed his eyes and stared at Yan Nantian, sun and moon splitting open the sky. So he had obtained the inheritance of great Emperor Hongwu. If this guy grew up, he would be incredible. The 3 figures were like ghosts hiding in the void, watching silently. The battle between Lin Xian and Yan Nantian was getting more and more intense. The 2 of them had exchanged thousands of moves, and all kinds of divine abilities emerged one after another. Yan Nantian enlarged the vermilion bird divine feather and turned it into a flaming divine sword to fight back. In the end, Yan Nantian used the great emperor's secret technique to reach Lin Xian's side. With a slash of his sword, he slashed apart the demonic qi on Lin Xian's body. It landed on Lin Xian's body. With a clang, the long sword pierced into his flesh. However, Lin Xian used his powerful strength to clamp down on the sword. He did not let the vermilion bird divine feather sink into it again. Are you finally going to fight me? But do you think you can run away after injuring me? Lin Xian smiled. Even though he was injured, so what? The great spear of destruction in his hand pierced through Yan Nantian's body. Blood splattered everywhere. Both of them were injured. However, Yan Nantian was clearly more seriously injured. His body had been pierced through. Lin Xian only suffered a small cut. Wong! Lin Xian snorted coldly as the illusions of the four divine beasts pulled him away from the great obliteration spear. At the same time, he withdrew the vermilion bird divine feather. After retreating far away, the wound on Yan Nanshan's body began to heal. Countless laws shrouded the wound. Lin Xian's body shook as well. The laws of wood, the art of longevity, and the power of the 9 yang divine body quickly healed his wound. You're quite strong. Unfortunately, I didn't use my full strength just now. After Yan Nanshan's wound healed, his expression turned cold. 9 ancient runes appeared on his body. The runes shone brightly and completely enveloped his body, increasing his defensive power once again. These 9 emperor runes could not only defend, but also attack. They had endless magical uses. Even a true sage would have to be careful if they encountered them. Is that so? Do you think I've used my full strength? Lin Xian also smiled. Inside his body, the great dragon sword soul roared again. His combat power increased again. The great obliteration spear charged forward. This time, its power was doubled. Yan Nantian also waved the 9 runes and charged forward. Clang! The sound of a collision was even more terrifying than before. At this moment, even the expressions of the 3 figures hiding in the void changed, and they quickly retreated. Damn it, what's going on? These 2 people didn't use their full strength before. Their strength was so terrifying that the 3 of them were extremely shocked. At the same time, another figure came and watched silently. The aura on his body was even more terrifying because he was Cloud Sky Saint. Cloud Sky Saint's gaze was firmly fixed on the 2 figures below. He had no intention of attacking. After hundreds of moves, Yan Nanshan's expression turned ugly. He had used the 9 Emperor runes, but they were still evenly matched. Damn it, how was this possible? The Dharma treasure in his opponent's hand was also so terrifying. What kind of secret technique did the other party use to be able to be mentioned in the same breath as it? Emperor runes? Not bad indeed. Lin Xian sneered. The great dragon sword soul roared again and attacked 81 times in a row. The terrifying black light turned into a torrent and blasted the 9 emperor runes. Intense collisions were heard. In the end, something shocking happened. A crack appeared on one of the emperor runes. Damn it, how was this possible? Yan Nanshan's eyes widened in disbelief. These were emperor runes. Although he couldn't use all of his power in his current realm, just the power that he could use was enough to contend with a sage. The other party had actually broken it. How did he do it? Damn it. 81 attacks. All hit the same place. This guy's control was quite precise. Yan Nantian hurriedly waved his hand, and the 9 emperor runes revolved. Crack, crack, crack. Countless lightning bolts appeared between the 9 emperor runes and connected with each other, completely enveloping Yan Nanshan's body. At this moment, Yan Nantian seemed to have become a thunder god's body. Thunder god transformation. This was naturally a very terrifying superpower in the great emperor's inheritance. It was even more terrifying than the sun and moon splitting the sky. Although Yan Nanshan's thunder god's body was created by a superpower, he was confident that it wouldn't lose to any body constitution. Whether it was the supreme demon body or the sacred body, he was confident that he could contend against them. This was the means of a great emperor. Buzz. After transforming into a thunder god's body, Yan Nanshan's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. In an instant, he attacked 100,000 times. Terrifying lightning bolts, combined with the vermilion bird divine feather, attacked crazily. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian didn't show any signs of weakness. The great destruction spear danced, destroying everything. So, what if his opponent had transformed into a real thunder god's body? His 9 yang divine body wasn't afraid of anyone. The vermilion bird divine feather and the great destruction spear constantly collided. The two's bodies were also constantly clashing. Every blow could turn a half-sage into ashes. After thousands of collisions, the two retreated. Lin Xian's body was still filled with demonic aura. On the other side, several cracks had appeared on Yan Nanshan's body. Although they weren't big, at a glance, it was a ghastly sight. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.